You'll think Al Gore.
Adam Curry, John C. Dvorak.
It's Sunday, April 22nd, 2018. This is your award-winning Gitmo Nation Media Assassination, episode 1027.
This is No Agenda.
Proud to be your Abercrombie and broadcasting live from the capital of the Drone Star State, Austin, Tejas, in the Cludio in the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where I've lost my clever retort, I'm John C.
It's Crackpot and Buzzkill in the morning.
I'm so sorry. I know you're angry at yourself for having lost your clever retort.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. But I'm the Abercrombie.
So
see, I threw in a topical thing there. You just taught me what Abercrombie meant, and I figured, yeah, that's me.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got this list of, it's called the Dirty 30s. It's on the internet. It's a huge list of slang from the 30s, because we've been talking about this sort of thing on the show, incessantly.
Yeah, like this phrase from the Shays, abbreves. It's language.
All this sort of
language,
thing.
Yes.
So let's go. You want to go over a few of these? These are quite funny.
Yeah, give me Abercrombie first. Everyone knows that I'm an Abercrombie.
Means a know-it-all.
Boom. Boom, count one.
Abyssinia.
Abyssinia. Someone who plays hooky?
I'll be seeing you.
Oh, that's what Abyssinia means?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, here's one. These all mean the same thing. Aces, snazzy, hot, knobby,
lit,
smooth,
blotto,
sweet, swell, keen, cool.
Keen. We need to reintroduce keen.
Yeah, I know we should. That means very good, of course.
Thanks for doing the extra newsletter. I thought that was appropriate for 420. But I got to tell you a story, though. So on Friday, I had to go get some rolling papers. So I go to my favorite shop here in Austin, and it's filled with kids, school-going kids, and they're carrying signs. I'm like, wait a minute, are they protesting the head shop? This is no good. But no.
Yeah.
These kids are so smart. They had organized a school walkout on Friday, 420. And they were in there with their school walkout signs, which was the 19 years of Columbine, buying blunts.
What do you mean buying blunts?
Yeah, buying cigars, Swisher Sweets, for blunts. Hello?
I don't know this.
Well, you know the Swisher Sweets cigars.
No, I don't. I have no idea what
you've never seen
about.
Those? Oh, at the 7-Eleven, you can buy a cigar. It's like a single cigar in a plastic wrapping, and it's nasty. It's a Swisher. You've never heard of Swisher Sweets?
No.
Ha. Okay.
You got me.
So then you bore out this particular kind of cigar is good because it's not anything. It's not really an actual cigar. It's just a bunch of tobacco pressed together, and it's really sweet and sickly. And then you bore a hole in it, and then you stuff marijuana in there, and you smoke it. It's called a blunt.
I thought a blunt was just a big, fat joint.
No. Well, the origin of the word, maybe. But that's beside the point. I thought it was interesting that these kids had the school walkout, and they're all in the head shop getting stuff for getting stoned.
Well, it's 420.
Yeah. Well, it's brilliant. We need to have this every
It tells you
420.
the state of the education system in this country is what it tells me.
Okay, good. I can kick it right off there. Jordan Peterson was on Bill Maher. And it was the whole episode is really worth watching because
what is Maher's position about Peterson?
He likes him very much. And in fact, this clip shows them in camaraderie. Together. Yes. And there were a bunch of Dimension B people going nutso on this panel. But this is this is Peterson saying, answering the question, where did all of this political correctness come from? When did we turn into such a snowflake nation? That's almost literally what Maher asked.
So where did it come from? How did we get to this place where we're so fragile? The safe space people.
Oh, I think that you can pretty much blame it on the universities. I think that they've pursued, especially in the humanities and in the social sciences as well, they've pursued a policy of a radical leftist policy with an overlay of postmodernism, which is kind of a literary criticism approach that's produced all of this. As far as I can tell, I think you can lay a lot of it at the feet of faculties like the faculties of education. There was an article in the Chronicle of Higher Education this week that just devastated the faculties of education, taking them to task for low academic standards and for possession by ideology and for basically indoctrinating people in a cult-like manner and playing identity politics and group identity.
And no free speech. They don't seem to. There was an incident in Fresno State. I don't know if you saw this, but Barbara Bush died. Okay, some professor there tweeted something nasty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I wouldn't have tweeted it. She called Barbara Bush a racist and said she raised war criminals. Mm-hmm. Okay, it's
yeah, well, the timing.
This crowd likes it, but it's nasty, and she's they're considering suspending her. And here's what the president of the university said. He said this was beyond free speech. This was disrespectful. Have we lost the thread back to knowing what free speech is? Yes, it can be disrespectful. That is covered under free speech. President of Fresno, you idiot. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
What I find so interesting is that the crowd that is typically completely all in on this stuff is now applauding Bill Maher for what he's saying, which is atypical for their position, I think.
I don't think so. I think they straddle. They don't straddle A and B, but they straddle kind of the different angles of B.
Okay, fair enough. But anyway,
they still all hate Trump, I can assure you.
Yes. I tried to find some clips. I'd hoped someone would put together one of those super mashups, because all I heard, and now I'm pissed I didn't get any live recordings off the telescreen. All I heard on MSNBC, which I'm still watching diligently, was hooker this, hooker this. It's all hookers, hookers, hookers. Oh, Trump with his hookers. Well, we can't wait. Let's talk about hookers. Hooker. They were all jitty with it. And I'm like, excuse me, this is a class of people who are called sex workers. Surely you Dimension B people should know that. It was really quite rude.
They should be more respectful.
It was really rude.
In fact, Dimension B, Dimension B in my way of putting it.
Oh, boy. You're getting sucked in, aren't you?
Dimension B people, the Hillbots,
yes,
they are the ones who promote this. Oh, you have to have respect for the sex workers.
Yeah.
And this isn't showing any respect. These people are completely nuts.
But they were jitty.
Jitty.
They were like,
jitty.
Hookers, yes. Oh, what did he say about the hookers? I don't know. What did he say? Hookers. Ah. They're sex obsessed, these people. And it's rude. It's really rude. Yeah, there's legitimacy to sex workers in different, all kinds of forms. Yeah. You know my stance on this, but it's also it's proven. It's like law.
Yeah.
A-holes.
You have a lot less sex offenders when you have legalized prostitution. It's a known fact.
So it was that, and it was the Starbucks stuff. Did you get any clips on the Starbucks stuff?
No, I didn't, but I do have something on the sex workers, kind of.
Oh, okay.
Comey. This has to do with Comey's notes.
Yes.
Comey takes copious notes. Now, and I've said this before on the show, and a lot of people don't. So why is Comey writing all this stuff down? Did he do it after the fact? There are people in business who learn this habit. It's not a bad thing to know, and I think Comey learned it when he was in banking, that you have, every time you have a meeting or you talk to anybody, you write down.
This is
usually you do in front of the person.
I'm sorry, this is really a CIA thing. I mean, I've seen Uncle Don do this, just having a chat, and he says, "I'm sorry, I can't help myself. It's agency still in me," and he's just writing stuff down that we're talking about.
Yeah, well, it's not just an agency thing though, because I've seen people do it in oil companies.
Okay.
Chevron. I used to inspect Chevron, and every time I went into this one guy's office, he would rubber stamp a sheet, put my name on it, and then he'd take notes.
Wow.
And then he'd rubber stamp another time code on there. And then when I left.
Oh.
So here's Comey. I thought this was kind of interesting because most of these things are pretty dubious. But this I thought was a cool clip about Comey's notes. Cool clip.
Among them, for the first time, the president's own concern about his first national security advisor, Michael Flynn, that he lacked judgment. Here's ABC's chief White House correspondent Jonathan Karl tonight.
It's 15 pages of meticulous description written in real time, detailing the interactions of a president and an FBI director. James Comey wrote the first one the day he met the president-elect, briefing him at Trump Tower.
I just wanted to get it done and get out of there.
As soon as he got back to his car, Comey started typing, noting, "I wrote this less than 5 minutes after the meeting and have tried to use actual words spoken." He recounts briefing Trump on the so-called Steele dossier that claimed the Russians had videotaped Trump with prostitutes in Moscow. Comey writes Trump interjected, "There were no prostitutes. There were never prostitutes." In a later meeting at the White House, Comey writes, "The president said the hookers thing is nonsense, but that Putin had told him, we have some of the most beautiful hookers in the world." The Russians deny that conversation ever took place. The Comey memos also recount the now famous meeting in the Oval Office where the president allegedly urged his FBI director to go easy on fired National Security Advisor Michael Flynn, telling Comey, "I hope you can let this go." But in another memo, Comey writes that Trump has serious reservations about Mike Flynn's judgment. He says Trump was infuriated that Flynn had waited days to inform him that a foreign leader, whose name is redacted, had called to congratulate him on his inauguration.
And so let's get to John Karl from West Palm Beach tonight. And John, as you reported there, the name of that foreign leader who called to congratulate President Trump was redacted in the document, but tonight you've learned who it was?
I'm told it was Vladimir Putin, and that because of the delay, he didn't get a call back from President Trump for 6 days. According to Comey, the president told him that if he had to wait 6 days to get a return call, he would be very upset.
Yeah. That's the story.
Yeah, well, that's a good story. But the hooker part was interesting because having been to Russia, you've been there.
Yes.
There are some unbelievably attractive females that are in that profession.
Well, I need to say that
we're talking unbelievable.
I must say that I was there in 1988. And this is before the Hoff brought down the wall. I must always remind people of that. It was David Hasselhoff who did it. And we were warned explicitly to not go anywhere near hookers. Now, you say that to a whole bunch of guys in rock bands and me. It's like, hey, let's go to the hooker boat. The experience that I saw there, and by the way, no one took advantage of the services, was not what you're thinking. They were really ugly. It was really horrible.
So you never went to the Intercontinental Hotel, then I take it.
No.
That's where
we were warned they were all
was two
KGB.
spots. Well, I was warned where they were. I went over on the ticket with Autodesk, and I was told by the guy who was going to Russia all the time, specific two places in particular where they all were. Mm-hmm. They all congregated there. The upper floors of the Intercontinental, and they were also in the hallways, and they're all over the place.
What year was this? When were you there? What year?
It wasn't much different than yours. I think the year before the revolution.
Damn. Well, they steered me wrong.
I would say. And there was the Intercontinental. There's one other place, and I can't remember the name of it, but you'd go in there. I didn't use the services, but you'd go in there to gawk. It was holy mackerel.
Well,
anyway,
the general.
Missed out.
Yeah. Oh, well, there you go. So Putin's telling the truth.
I think he is. Which isn't saying much for the country.
No. Yeah.
No.
All right. So I'm not quite sure why this is so important to them about hookers this, hookers that. I'm sure it proves something.
Everybody's a buzz.
It's somehow it proves Mueller's onto something. I really don't know. But it's just everyone seems to be getting a big kick out of this. Oh, yes, hooker this, hooker that. And then, kind of at the same time, we have this lawsuit, which I think is this a first that one Democratic Party is pretty much suing the other party or the campaign, and
actually no,
by implication, WikiLeaks, Russia, what's his face, Roger Stone. I mean, they're just bringing everybody into this, and it's long. Have you seen this thing?
I have not looked at it yet. Have you?
Yeah, I mean,
Have you read it?
I started to read it, but it's long. Yeah.
Well, this was done during the Watergate era, and this allowed the Democrats to say, "Well, just like Watergate," which is one of the things on the Trump list.
Yeah.
Watergate. Watergate.
It's actually much worse. This is much bigger than Watergate.
Yeah, it's not, because they don't have any proof. When the Watergate suit took place, the DNC sued the Republicans for $1 million, which was in the 70s. So I guess it's worth $10 million today. And it was, but they had already arrested actual burglars.
Yeah, there was a crime.
They had caught guys,
right,
so it was a little different kind of a lawsuit. They have nothing to base this lawsuit on. In fact, Tom Perez, the incredibly creepy head of the DNC, was on with Judy. And this is the DNC lawsuit, Tom Perez clip. Please interrupt as much as you can.
Okay.
We return to the lawsuit filed by the Democratic National Committee today against President Trump's campaign, several top Trump advisors, WikiLeaks, and the Russian government. The DNC alleges a massive plot to interfere in the 2016 presidential election, in part by hacking the Democratic Party's computer network and by releasing stolen emails. I spoke with Democratic National Committee Chair Tom.
So that fact, which is just glossed over as fact, is extremely irritating since we only know this from the Pew Pew guys. The servers were never given to the FBI.
Right.
I think that's what Trump is now tweeting about. So.
And the thing that I always like to recall is the data rate of the stolen documents was higher than the network speed, indicating that somebody stole this and stuck it on a thumb drive.
Perez a short time ago. And I started by asking why they filed the suit when the investigation by special counsel Robert Mueller is still underway.
Well, there are three reasons, Judy. First of all, we don't know when Director Mueller will finish his investigation, and he should take all the time he needs to do a thorough job.
I need to stop this for a second. I want to see if he is completely on script. I have a clip where he does this exact same thing with the three reasons. I'm just going to play them kind of next to each other. Let's see if this works. Hold on.
Why did we do this now, George? Three reasons. Number one, in order to file a civil suit, you got to make sure you're filing it within the applicable statute of limitations. I don't know when Director Mueller's investigation is going to end, so we need to file now to protect our rights.
Okay. Is that what he said for number one here?
I believe so. I think you're going to have identical clips.
Well, there are three reasons, Judy. First of all, we don't know when Director Mueller will finish his investigation, and he should take all the time he needs to do a thorough job. We have to file within a statute of limitations, if we sit and wait, then we're frankly committing legal malpractice. A year ago when I came to the DNC, it was clear to me that we'd been hacked, and we'd been hacked by the Russians. It was less clear to me a year ago whether there was a conspiracy between the Russians and the Trump campaign. It has become abundantly clear to me that there is that conspiracy, and because we've done our homework, we filed this suit. And then finally, Judy,
what was that number two? That was he didn't number it.
Number two, we've done our job. We've done our homework over the course of the last year. The same. We have seen story after story, brick after brick in the conspiracy between the Russians and the Trump campaign to affect the outcome of the election. I did my homework. We have a strong case. The same. That's why we brought it.
Really good. That's fantastic. He's good. He's on message.
Yeah, he's good at memorizing.
Switches it up a bit. Yeah.
I'm very concerned about the upcoming elections.
This is number three.
Civil lawsuits have an important purpose of deterrence. And I hear from so many people across this country. They've hacked before. They've interfered in 2016.
Right.
And
Judy goes, right. Right. Yes, they're hackers, all of them.
Going to do it again. What are you going to do about it, Tom?
Well, I hear you, but...
Okay, let's see what it does here.
Number three, George, we have to deter misconduct. We've got elections coming up in November. It's hard to win elections when you have interference in elections. And they've done it with impunity, and I'm concerned that it's going to happen again. So that's why we did it now.
Fantastic. He's so on message.
Get back to the point about conspiracy. This is something that we know. Again, the special counsel Robert Mueller.
Stop. This is something we know.
So this is when this clip ends, you're going to understand. He claims there's a conspiracy.
Yes. Yes, he does.
I just want to make everyone notice that he says that we have a conspiracy in front of us, and it's a wacky one too. By the way, I think putting WikiLeaks into it makes it nutty. But okay, he's got a conspiracy: Trump, the Republicans, the Russians, WikiLeaks, and who knows who.
If you don't mind, my clip's like 20 seconds. I'm done with it. It probably is the same thing that he's about to say. Then we can just finish yours.
Yeah.
Because he may say this in a little different way.
I believe it's critically important here to seek justice and to expose the truth in the civil justice system because, frankly, as General McMaster said a while ago, the Russian misconduct, that we have not imposed sufficient costs on Russia for what they tried to do to the election. That is true. What he didn't say was why. We know why. This government didn't impose sufficient costs because they were conspiring with the government of Russia. And we have to deter this conduct. We can't allow it to happen again, George.
All right. So, yeah, it's a conspiracy. In fact, what he's presenting to us is a conspiracy theory.
Interfered in 2016, totally. And they're going to do it again. What are you going to do about it, Tom?
Well, I hear you, but to get back to the point about conspiracy, this is something that we know, again, the special counsel Robert Mueller's looking into. We don't know yet. The public doesn't know yet if that actually happened. It may appear to some people that it did, but until the dots have been connected and there's some legal basis for that, are you at risk in a lawsuit of getting ahead of what are known facts?
Well, I'm very comfortable with where we are now. I feel that we have ample evidence to demonstrate in a civil proceeding what we're doing. And we have a different burden of proof. It's a lower burden of proof in a civil case. And so I've dealt with this from the criminal side as a DOJ prosecutor. And I understand and I have great respect for the work that Director Mueller is doing. And we have great respect that they will continue to do the independent, thorough job that they need to do. But we were hacked, and they tried to cause chaos in the DNC and in the Democratic Party. And we need to seek justice in a civil case, and we need to deter.
Let me ask, you won't be surprised to know that there was been a full-throated response from the Trump campaign. I'm just quoting their campaign manager who said this is a sham lawsuit about a bogus Russian collusion claim filed by a desperate, dysfunctional, and nearly insolvent Democratic Party.
Well, I think they had their greatest hits of conspiracy theories.
Jeez. Now we're just measuring conspiracy theories?
Wait a minute. Saying that this lawsuit is a sham, that's their greatest hits in conspiracy theories? He has this crazy conspiracy theory that they're suing over, and then they say, well, we think the lawsuit's without merit. Oh, you guys are conspiracy theorists. Unbelievable.
Yeah. And I'm sure Judy followed up, though, and said, okay, just so we're sure, this is based on, you've said it 3 times now, the DNC servers being hacked, their email being hacked. She follows up on that, right? And she asks about that. And,
sure, she does.
And queries why they didn't give the servers to the FBI and only gave it to the Pew Pew guys.
Yeah, she asks none of these questions. She has no follow-up. That softball that he just threw at her with this conspiracy best of, she just lets that go by. In fact, I have the next thing she says, which is the part 2 of the clip, which also has a little kicker in it that I thought was kind of interesting.
And Judy, for your viewers, I think it would be interesting to go back to the Watergate era because the DNC filed a lawsuit against the Nixon campaign back then, and the response when that lawsuit was filed was almost identical to what we saw today. So it seems like the Trump folks and the Nixon folks, once again, there's yet another thing that they have in common, which is these false denials.
You mean Nixon tweeted about Wendy Wasserman Schultz?
Yeah, apparently he did.
Did you see that?
Now
I'm like, Trump has got to be listening to our show, making up different names for people. That's our beat, man. Back off.
Now, I went back and looked at the denials, the kind of counter of the RNC, of the DNC during the Watergate era. And Perez says they were nearly identical.
Yeah.
They were nothing identical.
What, do you have an example?
This guy is a liar.
Do you have an example? Did you bring in anything?
Well, they go on and on about demagoguery and all the stuff that the Democrats are using. They use all the kind of Democrat terms.
Interesting.
To put down the other side, and it's just nothing like what they never talked about a broke DNC or a
but of course PBS, supported by viewers like you, they did the same thing, right? They went and looked and just fact checked on him.
No.
Oh.
Fact check false.
Oh, that's disappointing.
Yeah, she didn't do any good follow-up questions. She's kind of in agreement most of the time with these guys. She's getting worse. I mean, she was, when this whole thing began, she was kind of okay. She was still becoming, she was not becoming, she was a pretty objective journalist. But now it's like smacking her lips and nodding her head. It's really deteriorating.
Yeah, I caught I forget the guy's name. He was a former Hillary Clinton aide when she was Secretary of State. And now I typically won't clip this guy, even though I like him. He's funny. Dan Bongino, he's a regular on Fox. He was a former Secret Service agent who protected Obama and the Obama family. But I think he left during that tenure. And yeah, he's totally dementia A raver. He's a host of a show on NRA TV. I mean, that kind of says enough. But he said no one in this conversation picked up really on what he was saying, but it was very good when he addressed this lawsuit and really the collusion and the server.
The Democrats with maybe a new party policy: if you can't beat them, sue them. The DNC filing a lawsuit against the Trump campaign, Russia, WikiLeaks, accusing all three of conspiring to disrupt the 2016 election. Is this really the right message for the Democrats heading into the midterms? Joining us to debate, Dan Bongino, the former Secret Service agent and host of the Dan Bongino Show, and Philippe Reines, former senior advisor to Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. Gentlemen, normally I would try to bring a debate like this along, but right now I feel like I've got two gladiators in the ring, and I have to simply start this by saying, Dan, what do you think?
Listen, this is a joke. It's a farce. I'm sure Philippe will defend it, and he'll throw out this whole Russian collusion fairy tale again. But the bottom line is our collusion fairy tale has entirely fallen apart. We've been at this for 2 years. There's not a scintilla, not a cent of evidence about actual collusion on the Republican side. But there's a whole lot of evidence that Philippe's former boss colluded with a foreign national from the UK who colluded with foreign nationals from Russia to produce a fake dossier used to spy on fake American, using a fake dossier to spy on real Americans. That should be the lawsuit.
You don't think about it because we just talk about Steele as Steele. We don't, if Steele were anything, if he were just an American guy, but no, he's a former British spook who was in contact with Russians who gave him false information. So he has a very good point about the actual collusion where it was taking place.
I agree.
Against Hillary Clinton. The Republicans should
let
file
Philippe
a lawsuit.
react to that. Was there a conspiracy on the Democratic side?
Of course not. And if the RNC wants to sue, or if Dan wants to sue, they should go ahead and do so. There's no question that the Russians tried to meddle and attack our election process.
Yes, the Russians did try to influence the election through Hillary Clinton. We know this. See, these are established. I know he has a hard time with that. I think
she's gone now. What are we doing in 20?
Ooh, I like that. Did he say she's dead? She's gone now?
I don't know. Back it up. He says she's dead. I think he meant kind of metaphorically she's dead.
Okay.
Through Hillary Clinton. We know this. See, these are established. I know he has a hard time with that. I think
she's gone now. What are we doing?
No. I think he says she's gone now.
Yeah, Dan.
That's too bad.
Yeah.
That's too bad. There's my dementia.
She's gone now. It's bad enough. The funny thing about this, I want you to finish this, but I think one little observation that we have to make in here is that what do the Democrats think they're doing? I mean, I know what they're trying to do is just stir up the pot to get, so the voters come out for the 2018 elections,
yes,
which is the real goal, and that's what they're doing a pretty good job of. But at the same time, they're presenting evidence and facts and making assertions that Hillary was gypped. She got railroaded by the Russians, and Trump was in with the Russians and Assange and all the rest of it. Screwed Hillary. She would have won if it wasn't for this and that.
Yeah.
How is that going to derail her running again in 2020? Look, I would have won in that. That's a known fact. Everybody says so. Why are you not letting me run again? And if she had been elected in 2016, she would have been running for re-election in 2020, so the age thing wouldn't have been a factor.
Yeah,
so
there's a call for you from management. We'd like you to put your things in a box and leave. You can't say this stuff.
So they're setting up their own demise for 2020.
Well, I think it's also, in a way, CYA, cover your ass for 2018. Let's say we don't see the blue wave, then they'll just roll it out again. And worse.
Oh, we'll see a blue wave. If they can't pull this off, and I think it's possible they'll blow it because they're fairly creepy. And it's because they're creepy. Tom Perez is a creepy guy. He's creepy.
He is.
And all the other guys that they wanted to have running the DNC, including that Muslim guy, Ralph guy.
Yeah.
Who is just a hater. There's a creepy group of people running the Democratic Party that if they don't get rid of these people and put some sane people in there, they're going to just be stuck. And they better take the House and the Senate in 2018. I don't think they will. I don't think they will.
What's even worse, if there is no blue wave, then the Republicans will use this and blame it on Russia. Trust me on this. They're all the same. They're all the same a-holes. It just depends on what day it is and which way the wind is blowing. I'm pretty sure that no matter who loses, it'll be the Russians again.
Yeah, well,
So the Russians,
it's convenient.
No, because we're talking about a lawsuit that your party's filing against the Republicans and Trump for something your candidate did. We know for a fact the Russians spoke to Christopher Steele. We know that information made it into a fake dossier used to spy. Why do you run from that?
Yeah, so, and then Bongino in this next clip, last one, he presses really hard on, can you just answer why you guys didn't give the server to the FBI? That would have cleared so much up.
Where the DNC servers you allege were hacked by the Russians, why won't they turn those over to the FBI or even to BuzzFeed that's demanding?
Okay, answer that.
If you're so sure the Russians hacked, why not turn them over?
The FBI that didn't really go and they couldn't tell we're asking? I don't know. Ask Debbie Wasserman Schultz. Excuse me, ask Wendy Wasserman
You know
Schultz.
it.
Okay.
No, I don't. What I know is, Dan, here's what...
He tries to throw in this little joke, which I don't think you got earlier either.
I missed it.
No, about Debbie Wasserman Schultz. So, Trump is tweeting about Debbie Wasserman Schultz, the Awan brothers, DNC hack, all related. But the first time he tweeted, he didn't say Debbie Wasserman Schultz. He said Wendy Wasserman Schultz, which I thought was really great. I don't know if that was a mistake or not, but now this guy tries to cool it up a little bit in this conversation by saying Debbie Wasserman Schultz. Oh, I'm sorry, Wendy Wasserman Schultz. It's subtle, but it shows you where his head is at. He's not really thinking about the question.
Excuse me, ask Wendy Wasserman Schultz.
You know it.
Okay.
No, I don't. What I know is, Dan, here's what I know. Please let me talk for a minute.
Yeah.
You know nothing.
Let Philippe talk.
The Russians are going to try this again. The Chinese are going to try this again. Others are going to try this again. What exactly is our Congress and our government doing to prevent it? Can you name anything?
Philippe, you still can't answer the question. Why
Dan,
won't the DNC, if they're so sure the Russians hacked their servers,
Dan, do
why
you
are they
believe
hiding
the
them from
Russians
the
attacked?
FBI?
Philippe, you said he had a second.
He still hasn't addressed the question, Ed.
Yeah.
Number one, can he acknowledge that Hillary worked with the Russians through a foreign national
There's
in the
no
UK
one who's
to
ever
produce
been
a fake
tougher on
dossier?
Vladimir Putin than Hillary Clinton.
Okay, but did she work with them on the dossier?
He cannot answer the question.
Did Clinton advisors work on the dossier? That's a fair question.
Dan, I can't hear myself think.
Let Philippe answer. Just clearly, Philippe. So weren't there Clinton advisors working with Christopher Steele on the dossier? Yes or no?
No.
They were not. At the State
already
Department?
admitted it.
No. I don't know what was going on at the State Department. Absolutely not.
You were a senior
That has
advisor
been-
at the State Department.
Ed, I don't much. When we were at the State Department, absolutely not.
Okay.
Okay. It's a mess. It's a mess, I tell you. It's just one big mess. It's just horrible.
It's a big mess.
I'm telling you. And it's boring. It makes television watching so boring.
Oh, I know. Well, they had the Barbara Bush thing in the meantime.
We had a little entremont. That's true, but not much.
Barbara Bush, and everyone's doing jokes about her, and I guess she was a character.
Uncle Don said she always had filthy jokes.
Yeah, she looks like the type. They called her. Yeah, well, good. I think that's fine. I don't have a problem with women telling dirty jokes.
Of course not. That makes her that much cooler. It was nice to see that people from all walks of life and political beliefs were pretty much like, oh, that sucks. She was cool. And I think at the time she was a matron of America, matron of America.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
I think so.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree.
And the news networks went, oh, wait a minute. Everyone's all lovey-dovey. Just get some controversy back in here. Stormy? Stormy. That guy. That lawyer of hers. It's real. The whole thing is just sad.
You know, they had her on The View.
Yeah.
And I watched it. I didn't watch it on the TV. I watched it on the YouTubes. Because I refuse to watch it. And some reason doing it on YouTube is less offensive to me. And there's nothing. There was nothing.
No.
It was the same old mediocre.
No, and she said, we've got a tape. We've got a tape. We've got a tape, but we're not doing anything with it. We haven't decided yet what we're going to do with the tape. Oh, please. Show us the tape. Put it on Pornhub.
Yeah, Pornhub.
Pornhub. Is it Pornhub or PornTube? I can't remember. Put it up there. Show it to us.
There's a PornTube and a Pornhub.
Nothing as good as that. So the Starbucks thing, just to move along, unless you still are.
I don't know. Do I have any? We were talking. Let's see. Let me look at the list.
It was kind of like, we had, for a brief moment, we had some Black Lives Matter back, but just for a second, And the same with, there was supposed to be that big demonstration in Noonan, Georgia. It's like, our producer got back to us, 30 people showed up. There's no more funding. The money is not going into these groups anymore. It's not that I disagree with what happened at Starbucks. I wasn't there, so it's kind of hard to say exactly how it went down, but it seems like some blatant racism happening there or unintentional bias. And whoa, be careful if you're a publicly listed company. You don't want that shit over you. That's like the Al Sharpton trick. People, but it's really not organized. They're not staying on it. It's just kind of, did a little, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's no.
Jesse Jackson still had his little thing going on. These things would stay.
His was good. Yeah, his was really good. I mean, we do have a jingle that always helps, but we need, to do more.
There's a Starbucks hating on black guys. They tried to have a meeting, but had no intent to buy. There's a Starbucks, one of these black guys. He tried to use the bathroom, but they said he was denied. Oh, well, they were asked to exit, but they both protested, so they got arrested.
Man, I mean, it's like David Bowie came alive. Secret Agent Paul.
Good work.
I mean, that's beyond good. That's really, that sounds a lot like Bowie.
It does.
Anyway.
Unfortunately, we don't have enough action.
Action?
Yeah, there's not enough of these events that we could use that jingle more than once.
Oh, no, it's sure, it's a one-off.
The one shot.
That's it. We're done. Oh, yeah. That's it. That's all we got. Let me see. I got an interesting note from one of our producers regarding the Southwest crash. This just shows you how fantastic. Yeah, you have a cold today, don't you?
I have the sniffles.
Yeah, was it allergies, you think, or just cold?
I don't know.
In our value for value model, we have many, many people of all walks of life, a community we've built up over a decade. This is, I'm just going to leave him anonymous, but he says, I work for a company that performs non-destructive testing on jet engine components. We actually have a project developing new tests for the very type of fan blade that failed. This uncontained engine failure occurred for the same engine and the same blade type as the uncontained failure from about 2 years ago. Please note, this is still the first death on an aircraft in many years. Air travel is still the safest mode of transportation. I agree. A few points on the jet engine design. 1, blades are designed to fall forward or fall backward depending on where they are in the engine to minimize damage to the engine. FAA regulations require that an engine design is tested to prove that the blades fall out of the engine, which we call contained failure, and do not penetrate through the side of the engine, which is an uncontained failure. And he goes on a little bit more about the testing, and then he says, after the uncontained failure 2 years ago, the blade manufacturer recommended extra inspection using ultrasonics to detect small cracks in the dovetail section of the fan blade. The airlines did not do this because it was required, but because it would cost a lot of money. I think he may have missed not required. I don't know. The FAA will be putting out an advisory on new inspection requirements for this engine in 2 weeks. We're from the future once again. There's currently discussion from the airlines on grounding the entire fleet and performing the very ultrasonic inspection that was recommended 2 years ago. The inspection could take a few hours to a few days per engine. Oh.
This engine is a joint venture between a French company that used to make jet engines and GE, who didn't want to make this engine. And so these two guys, and so they've made something like thousands of these.
Do these frogs, do they put them on the Airbus or only on our planes?
No, they're on the 340. You get on the 340, get those 4 inches. That's this engine.
Yeah.
It's on the 320.
Oh my
And
goodness.
they do their final assembly in France, and we do our final assembly outside of Cincinnati.
Right.
And my understanding is that the rule has come down that they're going to be required to check these blades every 3,000
hours.
Yeah, something like that.
If it's the same kind of test, that's bankrupting. I mean, this could cost $10,000 an engine.
Just saying.
Yeah. Anyway, I really appreciate our producer. Thank you for your courage for getting this information to us.
Well, they can redesign stuff.
Yeah, but it's
got to be a design flaw.
Yes, but it's a big deal for the aviation industry.
China, that's what I'm always thinking. Remember the big scandal from years ago about the bolts from China?
Vaguely.
Remember? Well, these bolts would never spec out right. In other words, if you put them on you torque them, and you torque them to what they're supposed to be torqued in at, and they just break. They wouldn't torque down as much as they're supposed to. And this is classic, junk, best price stuff.
Best price.
Best price.
Best price.
I'm wondering where these blades are made. That's what I have not found it unless they're being made in-house. I don't think so. You can't do that.
No. But the problem remains. If this really is an issue with this particular type of fan blade, then you're going to see a big hit to the industry. I'd say short Southwest.
Yeah. Southwest is such a great airline. I wouldn't short it just out of respect.
Okay. I'm just kind of saying.
And now it's time for your sexual harassment update.
Yes, the hashtag #MeToo pops up from time to time. In no way does it get the type of attention it deserves anymore, because that was pretty much for that one special election here in, what was that? Georgia? Or was it? Where was that crazy guy?
Yeah, the judge. I think it was it Georgia, Tennessee,
Carolina,
Arkansas? I can't remember.
One of those southern states.
One of those states down there where they have just south of some place called Mason-Dixon.
Well, the Swedish Academy board members who award the Nobel Prize in literature, I believe in this case, 6 people have resigned from this board over a sex scandal. And the Swedish king now is intervening. Apparently, he's the he's the Academy's patron and has to approve of any of its secret voting system. And it might be a woman who's actually been harassing someone. I mean, it's unclear. There's really not a lot of reporting at all on it, and what's out there is minimal. But man, the Nobel Prize board, that's pretty extreme. And then we had a report. We had Coachella. Was it this past weekend or the weekend before Coachella?
I think it was this past weekend.
Sorry, Baychella. I'd say Baychella because Beyonce was performing, so it's not Coachella. It's Baychella. Baychella. And this millennial was there, and while she wasn't reporting on it, she became a part of the story.
Vera Papasova is an editor at Teen Vogue. She was at Coachella last weekend. She said she spoke to more than 50 women there, and every one of them said they'd been sexually harassed. And Vera joins us now. Hi.
What?
You yourself were sexually harassed at Coachella. What happened?
Yeah, well, I was just walking around looking for people to talk to, and at different points, I was groped a lot, and guys would just say things to me.
Yeah.
So I became part of my own story by accident.
Isn't that something that you should really like not even file your report if you become part of the story? Is there some journalistic rule about this?
Like with Hunter Thompson.
Okay. So let's hear now what happened to her. It has been a while since I've been to a festival, but what I remember, I was at Woodstock too. I remember, once you're in the crowd and you're dancing, everyone's all over everybody. Isn't that kind of the point? Isn't it just you all like touching each other?
Meet and greet.
Yeah, it is a meet and greet. MEAT.
I didn't even really expect it.
Right. Well, so in similar stories from it was like 54 women you talked to?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the groping.
She sounds so like she's so just recovering, don't you? It's like, oh, yeah. Yeah, it was really so hard, this Coachella report I had to do.
Was what in nature? Was it when you're like pressed up against someone or someone was pressed up against you as you're watching a band?
How crowded is the field?
I mean,
it's in the great outdoors. There's plenty of room. You're not up against somebody unless they come up to you, and then you can just back off. Back off, Dracula.
Let's back off, Dracula. Is that a phrase I should recognize?
Yes, it is actually.
Nice.
It's one of the
I like it. Never heard that one.
80s or
up against
70s,
someone,
60s.
All right, here we go.
Or someone was pressed up against you as you're watching a band, or what?
Yeah, I think the most common, honestly, scenario is when you're at a concert and you're dancing. So you're in the crowd and you're dancing, and there's this thing that happens where there will be you'll feel someone pretty close behind you, and if you start dancing, you will end up kind of like dancing against their body, and that's usually when someone will put their hands on like my hips or my butt, and so that's kind of the most common. So when I was trying,
it's a sin.
Wait a minute. While you're watching Queen Bee twerking on stage, it's insane that some people will be like, let me just dance around and rub your butt and grab your hips. This is a dance, too, this whole twerk. And then, I mean, come on. You're at a concert.
I have a story to tell you.
It's only 20 more seconds.
There was a lot of butt squeeze, hips or my butt.
A lot of butt squeezing.
So that's kind of the most common. So when I wasn't reporting and I was trying to enjoy the shows, that's when the majority of the gropes happen. But also,
you know what she needs? She needs like this is a product we could come up with. Then you put this. It's kind of you put it on like a dress, so it drapes over your shoulders, and it's like a barrier. You know?
No, I already know that. I know what you should do.
Oh,
you have it looks as it would have to be done stylishly, but it'd be a bunch of these like metallic kind of like a hula skirt kind of thing, kind of sexy.
Yeah, exactly.
And then it'd be loaded with like a DC current. And so if somebody touches you, push the button and you knock them on their ass.
Wait, don't you mean AC?
Well, AC will kill people.
Yeah, I was liking your product until you got all wishy-washy.
It's not wishy-washy. You knock them on their ass. It's like getting a jolt from your car battery.
I know.
It's not pleasant.
No, I think that here it is. This is how you can be assured of complete being left alone at a festival. And if you call now, we'll send you not one, but two official no agenda festival burqas. It's a guaranteed winner.
So just, in general on the field grounds, walking around or being in line, there were times where I was just touched.
Just randomly by a stranger, just touched.
Yeah, I mean, when you're so crowded,
my God.
so you're going to be walking through, and there's a difference between, like, sometimes it's accidental. I wouldn't count something that wasn't definitely on purpose, but I would count it if it was, like, someone squeezed, like, my side, or if someone squeezed my butt. There was a lot of butt squeezing.
There was a lot of butt squeezing.
There was a lot of butt squeezing.
You should ISO that.
It's ISO'd already.
There was a lot of butt squeezing. There was a lot of butt squeezing.
I like the uptalk at the end. That's all I have.
So wait a minute, I got stuff.
How do you
open and close these segments without ever consulting me?
Because I looked at your clip list and I didn't see anything. I'm sorry.
Yes, because you didn't recognize what they were.
No. And it's also,
and I'm shoehorning.
It's also
I had
just
the story
hate. I just don't like it. I'm sorry. I was thinking of myself as usual.
Of course.
Yeah. Sorry.
So my first wife used to hang out with this girl. She's very pretty, like a real pretty, perky looking girl. She's dynamite.
Your first wife?
No, my first wife was pretty too, but this girl that she used to hang out with, who is a wife of a friend of mine, they'd go to concerts
together.
I want to go to
your pretty first wife and her pretty friend.
Yeah. And this woman, this pretty girl, would pee on guys. I was aghast when I was told about this.
Wait a minute. But now, hold on. I need a little context around this. Are these guys who had fallen down, or is she?
No.
Is she aiming, or what is she doing?
It's like the same thing going on with this girl. She'd go up behind them and grab their butt or do something, and the guy was very happy about that. And then she'd pee
on their legs?
Yeah.
Oh, did you say hands?
What?
Did you say pee on? Oh, his pants. Okay, I got you. Pee on his pants. Oh my God.
Yeah. And when I was told this, I said, "Holy, are you kidding me? She did that." And apparently a lot.
And
she thought this woman thought it was hilarious, the funniest thing ever.
And how about your perky first wife?
She wasn't doing that, that's for sure.
But what did she think? Did she think it was creepy?
She didn't think it was, I think she probably got a kick out of it.
These
women are not, what they pretend to be.
I've never heard of this.
I never heard of it either. But I have heard of, there's another one. And you can look this one up. There are these public poopers, and there tend to be mostly women.
Public poopers? Oh, God. Hey, thanks for tuning in to the No Agenda Show. It is the best podcast in the universe.
There's a lot of perverts out there.
All right, so they just poop in public?
No, so here we go. Well, I'm in Las Vegas with a group of the people from PC Magazine, and some PR woman comes up and sits there and starts to talk, and then she leaves and rushes off. And one of the guys, I don't know how he knows about this, but he said that she said he knew that she took this is disgusting. I apologize to the listeners of this show for bringing this stuff up, but apparently they like to go and they just poop in their pants in a crowd.
In their pants?
Yes. And then they go off somewhere. And it's some sort of weird perversion. And if you go on the internet, start looking it up, holy mackerel, it's like massive number of participants.
Do they have a Mastodon server? Publicpooper.social.
Yeah, did it. Yeah, you got me out of it.
I know. Goodness.
So here's our local sexual harassment story. This is a local restaurant, local story. There's color codes for restaurants. I thought this was pretty good.
Oh, I think we discussed this. In fact, I'm sure we did. This is about the red, yellow, or blue.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about this. I played a clip.
This is a new clip.
Yeah, with a cop that wouldn't let a cop. Well, let's see.
Most of the female.
No, that does not include the cop.
Okay.
The entire staff worked together to create the solution.
Yeah, I read this. We didn't have a clip. We read it. It's okay. It's good.
And now posted on this chart.
The restaurant categorizes customer behavior with a color-coded system. Yellow is just a weird vibe that feels uncomfortable. Now, orange is an inappropriate comment that could have sexual undertones. And red is when a customer makes overt obscene comments.
Isn't it overtones?
Oh, what do you mean?
Is it sexual undertones? Shouldn't it be overtones, sexual overtones?
Yeah, I think if it's undertones, then it's subtle.
I never heard that. I never used that word, undertone.
No, I don't like it either. I think it's probably subtle. If it's undertones, and if it's overtones, it's just like it's just all kinds of innuendo piled on top. I just did a search on Syria X, actually. Holy moly, pooping pants in public YouTube, nerd poops pants. Well, that's okay. I purposely poop my pants in public. Ask me anything. Okay, here's a question. What is wrong with you? There's my question. Holy crap, John. You've opened a whole new world for me.
Oh, no.
Undertones. And red is when a customer makes overt obscene comments or touches an employee.
The staff uses the color code to get help immediately.
So, I have a orange at table 2, and they let the manager know, and the manager has an automatic action that they have to take.
Orange requires the manager take over serving the table. Red gets the strongest response.
We address the situation right there with the customer saying, this is inappropriate. If you'd like to continue to stay, this has to stop.
Code red alerts are now rare because managers take action before uncomfortable situations escalate. Several employees told us they like the system, but did not want to talk on camera. The restaurant gave us the cell phone video of a server who used the color alert in a code red situation.
All I had to do was exchange a few words, and that made me feel a lot better.
It's simple, it's very effective.
And it's good for business.
The fact that we create a really safe, warm, inviting place for our customers and our staff absolutely affects our bottom line, and it's part of our, recipe for success.
Kristen Z, ABC 7 News.
Well, we can add to the list of colors code brown. Yeah, I'm looking at this Ask Me Anything on Reddit. I mean, this rivals. Just when I thought your story about hot chick on the plane was better than the frozen mouth hot chick you wanted to pick up on motorcycle. This, it's also the first time you ever talked about your first wife on the show, as far as I know. But I've never heard this story. So here is a few questions and answers from the AMA on Reddit. I purposely poop my pants in public. Ask me anything. Okay, I'll start, says the lonesome cheese. Why? It excites me. I learned in my teenage years that porn did nothing for me, and once I witnessed someone have a diarrhea accident in school, from then on I was fascinated. The shame of it, the feeling, the embarrassment. Question. Okay, so you have sexual fantasies about poop. I don't like poop itself. I find it as disgusting as most people do. It's the feeling, the filling, the actual moment. Cleaning up is always the hard part, but after I've cleaned up, I play with myself using the memory of the most recent incident. Recently, I've been getting more bold, but afterwards, I always have the shame. When I think about what I do, I feel silly until the next time comes around. I'll just read one more because it's kind of disgusting. How has this impacted you socially? Well, as far as anyone knows, I'm totally normal. I'm a postgraduate student at university, and I live alone. Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah,
I have no boyfriend at the moment. Wonder why. But I have friends, and none of those friends know. I go out occasionally, and usually when I plan the deed, it's on my way home or on the bus or somewhere in public where I know there's a bathroom nearby. So once I'm finished, I clean up quick. Damn. But this is not
This
new.
is the kind of stuff you learn on the No Agenda show.
I mean, why go anywhere else? You can go to MSNBC and listen to them talk about hookers. You want the real down and dirty, you come to No Agenda.
Yeah.
But this has been going on for 30 years. That you know of, because I'm sure your first wife was in the 80s.
Well, his first wife, that was a pee girl. This is not the poop girl. The poop girl came up.
Oh, I thought you learned the story at the same time.
No. The poop one was when I was sitting there, as I explained, with a bunch of PC Magazine people in Las Vegas at one of the bars, and there was a seat empty, and a PR woman that was known to us comes over and says something about something. We all say, and she poops and takes off.
Now, did you know this?
I didn't know it.
Oh,
but the guy that was sitting next to her said that he could smell it, and there was a wet spot on the chair.
Oh, no. All right, stop now. Oh, God.
Yeah.
This is insane. Well,
that's what I said.
So that happened in the 90s then? 90s or the aughts?
Probably in the early 90s.
Okay. Well, it's interesting that no one in the chat room, on the troll room, had heard of this. And I'm sure there's a couple people in there that would know.
I never heard of it either. And then when I went back, when I was done with this escapade to the Comdex or whatever it was, I started doing a little research. And so this is probably, I would guess now, this 95, because it was after the internet had already achieved some sort of escape velocity and I could look stuff up. And so I was looking it up on the internet. And it was all, and back then it was all over the place. You start reading about it, and there was forums, and there were special web pages of people extolling the virtues of this, and it goes on, and you read all this stuff, and you just get completely grossed out, and then you wonder what? So I
would love to hear from one of our producers who's in psychology. Well, yeah, no, I mean, there's a profile.
I would guess that we don't have one listener who does this.
Oh, I'm not so sure. You mean who poops in their pants? No, I'm pretty sure we don't. But it could be. I don't know. If they do, come forth.
Yeah, come forth with a big donation and let us know.
Yeah, anonymity assured. I'm fascinated by it. Well, fascinated is not the right word, but in context of the show, so that's very interesting. Thank you for sharing, John. Feel free.
I got a million of them.
And with that, I'd like to thank you for your incredible courage and say in the morning to you, John C. C stands for Code Brown Dvorak.
In the morning to you, Mr. Adam Curry. In the morning to the ships at sea, boots on the ground, the feet in the air, the subs in the water.
Yes.
And all the names out there.
In the morning to the trolls in the troll room. Let me see. I'm looking up the show notes because I need to say in the morning to our artist who brought us the artwork for episode 1026. Title of that, De-ISIS. This was a really a one-off that we could only use for that episode, done by Cesium-137. It was just the best. It was a shadowy figure on its knees, bent over with a American standard slide whistle jammed through him from the back with blood dripping off the mouthpiece.
And I should mention that we spent a little time in the postmortem for the show with our slide whistles, figuring out which is the best way to grip it if you did want to run somebody through with it.
You remembered.
Yeah, if you had just the right grip,
yes.
you have a really solid grip, and you could swing into somebody and probably impale them with a slide whistle. So you're lucky yours wasn't confiscated.
Yes, I mean, the TSA totally should have seen this as a deadly weapon. And since our combo, I have gone on to try different grips. And I think the best way is you grip it with the mouthpiece end down, and you put your index finger through the loop on the slide. And then, now it's just, you can just hack. You hack with it now. It's just lethal. There, see? And you got a good grip. So it won't slide, so your hand won't slide down as you're pushing it through the bone and flesh.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we really appreciate...
you have to be careful you don't hit bone because it probably will stop it.
We really appreciate the work that Cesium-137 did. And all of our artists who diligently upload all kinds of beautiful work to noagendaartgenerator.com. Maybe one of these days we'll see an actual No Agenda comic appear, as was a discussion on the tweeters.
Well, we did have a couple of guys that were going to do it years ago, and then they dropped out, and this contact was. We had a story, but what are you going to do?
Yeah, anyway, it's the burnout factor. I'm always sad when people are doing a lot, like Sir Chris in Australia. Love the guy. He's doing so much good work, but I keep telling him, dude, slow down. You don't need to do a show. You don't need to do a song for every single show. You're going to burn out.
Yeah,
he won't listen.
Actually, I did some lyrics for him. He won't do those either.
You did lyrics for him?
Yeah, I got a song. I got a whole. Anybody who wants to do a song, I got lyrics for 2 songs.
Well, because he sent another one today, so it might be your song. I don't know.
No, it's not.
Oh, okay.
I got the feeling that he got my lyrics, and believe me, the lyrics work. And he said, I'd rather write my own lyrics. I'm going to write somebody. I'm not here. I'm not your slave.
I'm an artist, damn it.
I'm an artist. I do my own material.
Yes. Understood. Gotcha. Yeah. I love doing this show.
All right, here we go. I want to thank a few people. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 total of the associate and executive producer folks. Circumference, the law's protector of privacy. Circumvent the law. Yes, circumvent.
Yes,
the law.
Circumvent the law.
Yes. 422. I don't know exactly what it is, 422, but 422 it is. 1 to shamelessly launch Control Your Comms, COMMS, all one word, .com, and say a big nya to the naysayers.
Let me take a look at this.
I don't know what he's doing.
Control your, sounds like an OTG website. ControlYourComms.com.
Maybe. Special shout out to Ingrid Jackson, the most amazing woman I've ever known, and can't believe my complacency blew an amazing relationship. Oh, he lost his girlfriend or wife or somebody.
That sucks.
Forgive me, Podfather, for it has been too long since my last donation. Please accept $4.22 or $71 South Pacific pesos launch date donation. Could you assign it to Ingrid Jackson's damehood?
Yeah, it's 571 South Pacific pesos. Hey,
I'm sorry. I thought it was a dollar sign.
ControlYourComms.com. Take back control of your communications. Secure phone services. Hosted PABX. Virtual phone numbers. Virtual private networks. Secure web hosting. What we do. Virtual phone numbers, voice over IP, VPNs, secure hosting, privacy and anonymity, secure phone calls. Okay. All right.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, sounds totally good.
And then we finally got our 420 donation, Jonathan Ferris, who I can't find a note from anyone named Jonathan Ferris or anyone named Ferris of any sort. 420 US, I assume that if he has a note, he'll send it to us, or maybe you have something. You can look what would go into the third executive producer, Sir D of the Hollandish Radding.
Hollandse Radding.
Okay, yes, exactly. 333. He says, vacation karma, please. Going to Andalusia, Spain on Friday with my 2 kids and my smoking hot wife.
Yeah, yes, I got that. I'm looking. Jonathan Ferris donates a lot. A lot. So, but I see no notes from him ever. I just see him show up in spreadsheets. So we appreciate it.
You've got karma.
We have 2 associate executive producers. John Burns, $210. I can only do half of a 420 donation. Well, he's got the right idea. I didn't even get to celebrate 420. Oh. I've been too busy with all the prep work for my upcoming move from Chicago to Salem, Oregon. Can I get a job, some karma for the long drive? It's a nice. It depends on which route you're taking, but it can be a nice or a miserable drive.
Oh, what is your suggested route then? Let's help our producer John Burns out.
Well, he's probably going to just jump on 80, and that'll probably work fine. 50, 80, 40, the old Lincoln Highway.
All right.
But if you can get Salem, you're going to have to. Yeah, Salem. I don't have any good suggestions. The best ride is from Winnipeg to Vancouver somewhere. I don't think you're taking that. Anyway, keep it the great work. Best podcast in the universe. I'll be listening to this show while I drive. He's on his way.
All right, here you go. Here is your karma.
You've got karma.
Now, I did get a follow-up note from Jim Bennett. Go ahead.
Okay, Jim Bennett, 202. He's our last associate executive producer. He says, JCD's Plane Babe is fantastic. Please let her and her disgustingly healthy snacks live on forever. Well, if she ever starts listening to the show, it might happen. Why, though, is it so hard for me to imagine John managing to make friends with a complete stranger?
So he followed up with this note and he said, please play the fisting nuts mix. And he said, did you, in fact, at any point discuss nut fisting with her, or did you, or just leave that where it was?
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Oh, let me help you. Let me help remind you. Just go for it, John. Tell us your peeve about the
nut
fisting method
of
eating snacks. Now you got to wait.
I see this on the airplane, and it's very annoying, and I think it will result in fights breaking out, because it's just so annoying to watch. Guy takes his bag of peanuts, and he throws a pile of them into his palm of his hand, and then he makes a fist around the nuts. And then he shakes his fist to try to bring a nut to the little hole. Stop. To the little hole. And then he throws a nut in his mouth from his fist. Then he does it again. He shakes and throws and shakes and throws. It is annoying as hell to watch.
I think you missed out if you didn't share that.
You guys are disgusting.
Oh, excuse me, Mr. Poop Story.
But I had nothing but disclaimers during that story.
Yeah.
I didn't make a jingle about it.
No, of course not.
Tastes like poop.
Hey, listen. We don't pay these people anything. We give them value, and this is the kind of value they want. I mean, MSNBC is on the right tip. I think they know where it's at.
Anyway, no, I did not discuss that. That's a story that I think discussed once is enough. Is these people? And the other thing, United doesn't seem to serve nuts. I mean, that's Southwest. United serves these dry pretzels.
Oh God, yes.
And what do you do with those? You throw them out is what you do with them. You can't. There's nothing else you can do.
Correct.
So on the menu, they had. It's just unbelievable. This is on the way back. The way I was on first class, so I had good food. But the way back is this boxes, $9 wines, $9, $10 boxes of crappy food.
Yeah.
And this, so I looking at the food list, and there's a bunch of snack boxes. One's called the Classic Sandwich.
Oh, I'm glad you got these names. I've noticed these names, and I always forget to write them down or take a picture.
Yeah, the Classic Sandwich is Cheese Whiz and chocolate.
What?
Yeah.
That's a sandwich? Cheese Whiz and chocolate
sort of
together?
sandwich.
Together?
Yeah. Chocolate and Cheese Whiz.
And what kind of bread? What kind of bread?
Probably
Wonder
bread.
Bread? Wonder Bread?
Well, ideally, it should be Wonder Bread. Anyway, so I'm looking, and there's a couple of hot meals. They have a hamburger, which I can just imagine.
Oh, I bet that's dynamite.
And then they have a Uno pizza.
That's probably the safest bet right there.
Yes, and that's exactly what I ordered. I have the same mentality as you.
Yeah.
And so I ordered the Uno pizza. Meanwhile, the babe, as it were, sitting next to me, she's grossed out.
She was actually grossed out looking at your lunchbox?
Pretty much. And so I opened this thing, and it was like, it was unbelievable. I don't know what Uno should demand they get their copyright or their name back out of these. This is a little thing. It's about, I'd say, 6 inch round with a crust that's about, I don't know, inch thick. And it's got some horrible tomato sauce. By the way, it's lukewarm. If it's even lukewarm, I think it may just have been, I don't even know if it was warm. It could have been just a cold pizza. And it had like 5 little slices of pepperoni and a gobs of dried out mozzarella.
Yum.
It was you could eat some of the mozzarella, and then you could make like 2 or 3 bites, and then you had to just throw the thing away. Do not eat anything on United. That's my motto.
Trying to think what I held on the Delta flight. On the way back, actually, I ate quite a lot, but they also had weird combos, like they'd hand you you could choose like a grilled cheese. Like, that seems pretty safe. And they hand you the hot, overly hot grilled cheese box, and on top of it, an ice cream. But a chocolate, like with a stick, and it's vanilla with chocolate covering.
With
and
the hot,
right on top of the hot box.
So you have to eat. You have to gobble down the hot thing before you get to the ice cream, or the ice cream would just be melted.
No. But the thing is, they hand it out that way, so your ice cream is already in the melting process, and you still have to eat. You take it off the top of the hot box, and then you still have to. It's just dumb.
Wait a minute. You have to take the chocolate off the hot box, and now you have to hold it?
Yeah, you got to. Well, no.
Does it have a wrapper?
It has a wrapper. It has a wrapper. It has a wrapper. But it's already in the melting process.
It's melting on the spot.
Yes, it is. Anyway. I know. I'm sorry. If it were up to me, we'd have caviar.
Don't even. The whole thing is disgusting.
It is. It really is.
They can't feed the people anymore. They jam them in these ridiculous. You have to pay extra for an inch of leg room. I mean, these airlines should be ashamed of themselves. I think they should change the laws and let foreign carriers do domestic service in the United States. It's against the law right now. You can only take a foreign carrier if it's going to their home place or something. It has to be out of the country.
Yeah.
So you can even find a flight. I remember an air flight from San Francisco.
I'm sorry to interrupt. We kind of did that. Branson kind of did it with Virgin Air.
No, but there was special. No, but it's Virgin America especially.
I know. But it was, in essence, it was a foreign funded carrier with foreign carrier ideas brought in, and they did. It was great, but they couldn't make it work, obviously, because once he sold out, it just collapsed. It's gone. They don't do it anymore. They don't have the cool planes, and everyone's all yippee and all happy, and there's mood lighting, and we've got fabulous snacks.
It's true.
Yeah,
I took it quite a bit. And it was because it was going from San Francisco to Seattle, and it was just a great flight.
Yeah, but it's hey, dude, it's money. It's all about the Benjis.
Anyway, we want to thank our folks here, executive associate, executive producers for show 1027.
1027. Thank you. These credits are real, just like in Hollywood. Yes.
I remember my opening that I forgot. Happy Earth Day.
I thought you said that Earth Day was a couple days ago when everyone had the lights off, and you asked me about that, or a couple of weeks ago.
That was turn your lights off day.
Oh, I'm sorry. I got the wrong day. What do we do to celebrate Earth Day?
Well, I should have written a newsletter that has some thematic Earth Day stuff in it, and maybe we got more donations than what we got, which is piss poor, I might add.
Yeah, it's not the best. But
these 5 guys are good, but that's about it.
Yeah, well, they are executive producers and associate executive producers, and these credits can be used anywhere credits are recognized, and we love highlighting them at the beginning of the show, and we'll thank the rest of our donors $50 and above later on. And, of course, another show coming up on Thursday.
Dvorak.org/N.
And you have a lot of formula to propagate after this A block on the show.
Our formula is this. We go out, we hit people in the mouth. Order! Order!
Shut up, slave!
The best thing I ever did was getting off the grid.
Yeah, a little OTG update for you. There's a lot going on, a lot more. And I reiterate, this is not about trying to escape the prying eyes of the NSA, although it helps a lot. But forget about it if you're connected to anything, anywhere. Unless you're using pencil and paper, and even that is not secure. This is about getting away from the spy and profiling apparatus that are the Socialnet's face bag on front. Google is really bigger than that, but they're not in focus right now. And we'll start with a clip about the class action suit against the face bags.
3 Facebook users from Illinois, and they sued under a state law from 2008 called the Biometric Information Privacy Act, okay? And it says that private entities like Facebook are not allowed to collect or retain people's biometrics, which can include things like retina scans, fingerprints, DNA, face geometry, without written consent. And so the wisdom of that is biometrics are unique. If a bank's computers get hacked, right? You get to have a new account or credit card number.
The problem right here is that this is the type of people who are reporting on technology in today's M5M. Ending everything with right, because that to me means she doesn't really know what she's talking about and just wants to express that by saying right, because I'm probably wrong, right? And
biometrics are unique. If a bank's computers get hacked, right? You get to have a new account or credit card number. If Facebook is hacked, you can't get a new face. The plaintiffs who filed, it was 3 years ago, they said Facebook was harvesting face templates and tagging their faces for more than 1 billion people worldwide without informed written consent. And they're seeking up to $5,000.
Yeah, but the face bag is under the loop today. You know how the machine works. Let it go, man.
Dollars in damages for each violation. So that would be billions of dollars total.
Billions of dollars. How does Facebook feel about all this?
Well, what Facebook has to say in court is actually very different from what their CEO, Mark Zuckerberg, has said when he went to Capitol Hill last week. There he was over and over saying he was sorry for his company's missteps and suggested his main fault was being too idealistic or too optimistic. But in court in this case, his lawyers have been arguing, hey, no one was harmed in this procedure. And arguably, studying and tagging faces when pictures are uploaded is a service that lots of users like. It's been available for several years, and you can opt out of it if you want to. Facebook actually did manage to get the case moved to California, which is their home turf. But the judge at the U.S. District Court, James Donato in San Francisco, he says a class action is the most efficient way to resolve the dispute, and so it can proceed. A company spokesperson says in an email that Facebook is reviewing the ruling, that the case has, quote, no merit, and they'll defend against it vigorously.
So of course you should have a problem with that too, John. I mean, your picture is uploaded to the face bag multiple times. You're profiled. They have a hash ID for your face.
Yeah.
Then and probably someone already tagged it, and so they already know who you are, even though you are not a member of the
Google,
service.
You can go in there, and if people are tagging your face, you can have it untagged.
But of course.
I don't want my name associated with a bunch of goofy pictures on the internet.
Yeah, well, it's too late for that. But I think it's a good choice you got rid of the 1970s glasses, because that's probably the main tag feature of your old face.
Well, that's my old face. Yeah. But that face was from the 70s.
I like your new face. Your new face is very, very modern. I mean, it's postmodern, really.
Yeah. I have a postmodern face.
A couple other things in the news regarding this. Not really a big OTG, but the cops did actually attempt to open a guy's phone when he was dead with his finger. It didn't work, though.
If you were a cop, it didn't work?
No. Apparently, you only have like 36 hours to do so, and then I don't know what happens, but I think rigor mortis changes something.
I would have dropped his hand in a bucket of hot water. I think that has something to do with the temperature.
Yeah.
I would have dropped in a bucket of hot water and then see one of two things: see if that works, and also see if he pees in his pants.
And what would the point of the second test be?
Okay, now everybody out there got that joke except Adam. So
I just don't understand the joke. I understand if you put someone's hand in warm water when they're sleeping.
Yeah,
is that the joke?
Joke.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. All right. Adam understood the joke.
I just didn't think it was hilarious.
I just have a higher quality of humor.
Oh, sure you do.
Poop. It's back to the poop. No, it didn't work, but we know that. And if you take
the face should work.
No, the face will work, but this was not a 10 phone. This was not a facial recognition phone. And then I know you saw this because it was on the tweeters and you commented on it, but I wanted to read it because this is exactly the problem. When Zucky is in there at Congress saying, you can opt out, you don't have to share this, all this stuff. Of course, that's what he's talking about. But what's really going on, and this is not just Zucky, this is really so many apps can access this type of information. It's truly the smartphone that is the problem. And once we got stuff like the accelerometer, which provides data as to how it's being held, and then access is given to any developer.
Also how fast you're going and all kinds of stuff.
So I'm reading from this article that was tweeted. Patent applications do not always end in a product coming to market, but they can reveal a lot about a company's ambitions and direction of travel. Among the 11,000 plus applications filed by FaceBag in the U.S. is technology to automatically sense, record, and identify all types of activities such as walking, running, jogging, cycling, rowing, driving with car, bus, train, walking stairs, jumping, swimming, playing football, and skiing. Other provides for location tracking techniques that circumvent the need for GPS through advanced knowledge of the user's intended or estimated location, such as a reservation for an event at a particular time, restaurant, theater, concert. Also interesting is software that tracks significant topics of discourse and analyzes words used while discussing politicians' names and political, legal, or economic issues. This latter patent has an attendant interface for use by political analysts or marketing agencies. Of course, duh. But that's the stuff that is a problem with the it's not so much that FaceBag or all these guys are doing it, it's the fact that your phone is enabling it. And this was, and this is egged on by a tech horny press who all they could ever say, oh, so cool, accelerometer, oh, horny for it. And now it's really being used against us. I mean, it's very easy to know if someone is walking because the phone is in a certain, in your pocket, and then they can detect that, and you can create models. And this I think is a real problem. So I am still on my quest to get away from this, and I have to make a confession. I'm going to say that you're right. The pager is just not working out.
Oh.
Now, this doesn't mean I don't have a solution. But the pager is just not working out.
Okay, now I want you to tell us why you had idealistically adopted this pager mentality with the pager pager lifestyle, the PL, and now it's not working out.
OTGPL. It's mainly because of the time it takes for someone to send you an SMS text message and for your reply to go back. That can take anywhere from 5 minutes to 15 minutes. Duplicates occur. It's real. I mean, and I remember this happening back in the day with the duplicates, but of course we had no measure of how fast things were transferred. It was amazing it was working at all. It's like, wow, this is pretty cool.
In other words, you can't have like a conversation, SMS conversation.
Convos are difficult, yeah. Yeah, and it's just a little too tough. Now, it's still great for alerts if I'm just out and about and I have my email triggers if it comes through, but this it's not as fail safe as I'd want it to be. But again, the mission here is to get away from the tracking. So I spent some time over the weekend looking at a device, an older device that I think will actually do everything we need without being tracked. Now, if you connect to the cellular network, you're being tracked. You're being tracked one way or the other. There's nothing to do about it. Same when you connect to Wi-Fi. But
yeah, that's through triangulation at the lowest common denominator.
So your
level.
location is totally trackable. However, if you look at the smartphones, and I finally landed on Nokia, and they're, because they had Symbian, and, I'm pretty sure that, the web browser isn't as you're not going to have an accelerometer in there. There's a lot of things. It won't work very well.
You're talking about your old Nokia.
Yeah. Before they went Windows and then Android.
Before they got wiped out by the smartphone.
Well, it's interesting.
They get an old StarTAC
in this. Well, because what you do want is you want the QWERTY keyboard. That's the key. Because otherwise, you're giving up one thing for messages going through quicker by then having to type, A and go to D, have to click 3 times. Yeah. So you want the QWERTY keyboard. And Nokia made a number of really interesting devices. And the one I've settled on, and I've ordered 4 different devices. I've ordered a ZX431. I've ordered a Nokia C3. But the one I'm most excited about, which only is available still from China, but they're new, is the Nokia Asha 210. And it's a very cheap device. They were only like $60 when they were new. You can put 2 SIM cards in there. It does, let me see. Of course, they still have some kind of app store, but you really just want the web browser, you want your text messages, and you get a couple other things, your calendar, etc. Apparently, there is a WhatsApp app on Symbian that I'm sure allows you to connect, and if you do that, then there's still all kinds of tracking in place from FaceBag. But the phone itself, I don't think is going to do much. It's just there's not much it can do to spy on you, and you can take the battery out, which gives you a little more. It gives you a little better feeling about anything being listened to while you think you have it off. But I think that this is kind of the way I'm going to go.
So what you're going to do now is use a cheap Chinese junk phone that happens to have a couple of features that are useful.
Yeah.
And with that, you'll feel more comfortable, as opposed to my approach.
Well, just less tracked.
Which is to leave the phone off and in the closet and in a cabinet,
right,
and then only pull it out and carry it around when I think I'm going to get a flat tire.
Right. But I need to be reachable in certain cases, and you don't have that need.
I don't have that desire.
Okay. I mean, you live a different life.
I do. I'm a hermit.
Okay, so for you, that's absolutely fine. But for me,
I use a landline, Bakelite phone.
And by the way, you should look at this Nokia Asha 210. It's a very modern-looking device. It's actually
ASHA.
Yes, AS. They had a whole line, which I don't even recall. But it was really interesting going through all the different old phones that are out there. And of course, we had the Sidekick and the slides, which I don't like because you need 2 hands. Then I just want to be able to type something with 1 hand. But and I know we have a lot of people who are intimately familiar with the Symbian and the Nokia stuff. Now, I'm not all happy about them being made in China if they're being made in China. This is a
nice looking phone.
I told you. And apparently Nokia.
It looks like that old 74, that old one that we used to both use.
I also ordered another E71X. I never had the 71, but the E71X, also very cheap. And that does 2 SIM cards, 3G. And also just has the crappy Symbian, which is, you want it. And I could probably even get email to some degree just so I can read the headers. But at least the phone is not in the equation. And the only thing...
it's in different colors. It's in pink. It's in yellow. It's in baby blue, black,
I got the
white.
black one.
That figures.
Now, there's a device coming out called the Light Phone. But there's already one out, but there's one coming out that'll do... I mean, it's a trend. And Nokia... They wound up selling 4.4 million feature phones, as they're known, in the fourth quarter. They had a really, I think their earnings just got boosted all of a sudden. They had this huge boost.
This phone here is a red version of his $47.99 unlocked.
Yep.
Which is a big deal.
Yeah.
And
There's also the X2.
I think this is the way to go.
Yeah, the X2-1, and it's very cheap. And you realize all these features that came in, and what have they really done but just giving you more alerts? The alert systems on these phones are also crap, so you just make sure all that's off because that's the sickness right there. But the smartphones are alerting you all the time, and every app has access to if you're lying down, if you're standing up, all these different things. Now, the only thing that just is...
Hold on a second. So here's the original unlocked E63 QWERTY keypad Wi-Fi 3G camera.
Yep.
2 megapixels. 2 megapixels is not a lot, but it's enough to take a snapshot.
Yeah, you can get stuff with
this is a Nokia $29.99.
Yeah. And so we're all
Why
worried.
are people paying $1,000 for these phones? They're not using them for anything.
And you take that phone, you forcefully throw it on the marble floor, it's just going to be, honey badger don't give a crap. These phones, remember how indestructible these phones were? Remember the BlackBerry? People would be driving over it to show how good it was?
Yeah. Those days are over. I think I think you might be onto something. This pager thing, I was not on board.
Right, but I can see this being a trend, and why wouldn't we consider, it could still be called the hand job, but why wouldn't we consider making a nice little cute phone that, has just some basic functions that people will want? It'll keep you healthy. It does not protect you from NSA spying, and I'm not delusional, nor is that my mission. I mean, you still want to use the Brave browser on your desktop, and you want to use a VPN and as much as you can to stop everything. Now, here's another issue with the phones coming up. eSIMs. This is now a big issue in the telecom world. I don't know all the ins and outs of it, but I think Apple started to implement this, and basically there's no agreement in what the protocol should be exactly, but the idea is to remove the concept of having a SIM card, which is your subscriber identifier module, which is really an encryption key. It contains an encryption key so that, that's you. That's the phone number, and it's hardware, and it goes in, and you're set. So these eSIMs, I think, maybe Google really got that going with their Google Fi or whatever that is. So you could switch SIM cards in software. And this, of course, is not a really great idea. Now it just seems like it's open for all kinds of compromise and security issues. Yeah, hacking, exactly. Now the Justice Department's getting involved, so I'm not sure. So buy up your Nokias now, and I'd love to hear from any of our developers out there, dudes named Ben, who know about the Symbian operating system. And it's more just what can these apps do without me knowing it while I'm using the phone?
Everything.
Well, on these older phones, I don't think so.
No, on the older phones, no.
Because the phones just don't have the information.
Nobody cares. Nobody's going to work on it. So what, this guy's...
Right.
They just think you're some old fart with a Symbian phone.
The best thing I ever did was getting off the grid.
All right, give that guy our old fart with a Symbian phone profile. Another one of those jack-offs.
Yeah, probably a special category. So I got a couple of things here that are interesting. I do have this is a very funny, this was done on the CBS Weekend Report on Saturday. And I believe this is where they have some substitute. This is where they try out hosts and anchors.
Mm-hmm.
They got this lisping black guy. And he, I believe he says something like, people are all jacked up about folding as in closing preschools. This is just a teaser. Listen to it.
Still ahead on the CBS Weekend News, new research points to the long-term benefits of full-day preschool.
Folding preschools.
He said the long-term benefit of folding preschools.
Yeah. What does that mean?
Well, I have to assume he said something else. But I have listened to this clip over and over again, and what I hear is folding preschools.
Still ahead on the CBS Weekend News, new research points to the long-term benefits of full-day preschool.
Oh, he's probably saying upholding?
No.
Folding.
So there's no up.
Okay, so what is he folding?
I don't know. I never listened long enough to find out.
Sounds vile. I don't like it.
So I got another. Now I don't know if this is the same clip I produced some time ago about the HPV douchebags that come on with promoting their horrible vaccine and then blaming the parents because these kids are dying.
I recall something. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is I believe this is a different version of the same commercial.
It's all right. It's guilting parents into getting
this is disgusting. Shot. Probably one of the most disgusting
campaigns.
Yes, because it is it makes me sick. And they're apparently up in Washington State, they play it all the time.
I have cervical cancer from an infection, human papillomavirus. Who knew HPV could lead to certain cancers? Who knew my risk for HPV would increase as I got older? Who knew that there was something that could have helped protect me from HPV when I was 11 or 12, way before I would even be exposed to it?
Did you know, Mom? Dad?
Powerful.
I was infected with HPV. Maybe my parents didn't know how widespread HPV is. While HPV clears up for most, that wasn't the case for me. Maybe they didn't know I would end up with cancer because of HPV. Maybe if they had known there was a vaccine to help protect me when I was 11 or 12, maybe my parents just didn't know.
All right, Mom. Dad?
What will you say? Don't wait. Talk to your child's doctor today. Learn more at hpv.com. It's Macy's.
Talk to your child's doctor today.
A couple of things. Besides that commercial being probably the lowest form of advertising.
Yeah, the music was really, I liked it a lot because it had this melodramatic but still encouraging kind of, I'm at the bottom of the cesspool, I'm looking up and I see hope kind of vibe to it.
The thing about that commercial that was interesting is that both of the female actor and the male actor used you could have gotten a vaccine when you were 11 or 12. Both of them said that same age range.
Right.
So yes. I assume that there's a big push targeting 11 and 12-year-olds to get this vaccine.
I believe that has to do with the scheduling of vaccines in a child's life. So there's a moment when for some reason it's deemed safe to inject your child with something. And, that's now become what's like 72 shots before you're 15 or whatever. And, so there's all these things that are planned and your boosters and your tertiaries and you keep going. And then, let's add some HPV stuff to you. As soon as possible in the child's life, of course.
Yeah.
And I guess that's meant to be prepubescent to make parents feel like the timing's right. It's disgusting. It's well done. It works. I'm sure it works. This has got to freak people out.
Yeah, I think so.
It's very low. Well, talking about vaccines, I picked up this clip from Dr. Georgia Eady, and she's a brain scientist, psychologist, but she had this half-hour talk. It took 2.5 minutes. About mental health and how children are entering school programs, or university, I think she even says, and some of them are already on 4 or 5 different SSRIs or have had them in the recent past. And she went about studying this phenomenon, and it turns out it's not just the United States, it is a global phenomenon, and she has some ideas as to what is causing this. Always interesting to the No Agenda Show.
I'm a psychiatrist. I've been a psychiatrist for 17 years. For the past 12 years in college mental health. For the first 6 or 7 of those at Harvard, and now at Smith College, a women's college in Western Massachusetts. And what we're noticing across the country in college mental health is really disturbing trend. The first-year students, 18 years old, arriving on campus, more and more of them each year, arriving on campus already taking 2, 3, 4 psychiatric medications. Students coming in for crisis visits every day, panic attacks, self-injurious behaviors, suicidal ideation, professors and deans walking students over on a regular basis, worried about manic behavior or psychosis or anorexia. So what?
Were you aware of any of this?
No, but I'm not surprised by it.
No,
and I think it may actually account for the earlier clip that you had where everyone has to walk on, use kid gloves, walk on pins and needles because of these snowflakes.
Right, they get triggered, yeah.
Because they'll just at the drop of a hat will want to kill themselves.
Yeah, but
that would make sense.
But this, crisis appointments? What did she say? Like there's these moments. I mean, shoot, man. Well, I don't know about you, but when I was in college, even for the short time I was there, I had like panic attack. What's going on? Who am I? What am I doing? I mean, isn't that normal? Is that just a part of growing up?
I never had a panic attack ever.
No.
I don't know whether it's normal or not. I know that it's a jarring experience, but so what?
Right, exactly. So what? That's my point. But now we have to have crisis moments, and people have to be on standby, and
yeah, it's crazy.
Okay, thanks. That's what I wanted to hear.
Over on a regular basis, worried about manic behavior or psychosis or anorexia. So what in the world is going on? And what does this mean about our future? So it turns out the trend is actually global. It's not just about college mental health. And it's not just the United States. Now, these numbers are likely underestimates because it's actually very challenging to count people with mental illness around the world. So about 322 million people are estimated to have depression. That's about the same number of people as live in the United States.
What a market!
That's up 18% in roughly the past decade. And now the number one cause of disability in the world. 800,000 people die per year from suicide. And that's now the number two cause of death.
I wish she had said what the number one cause of death was. Is that still traffic accidents or is it guns?
No, traffic accidents isn't even close to opioid.
Oh, yeah, opioid.
Traffic accidents, like, not even on the list.
Yeah, but guns.
Guns aren't on the list. Opioid's way above guns.
I know. I'm just making folly. I'm making folly.
Among young people worldwide. Anxiety disorders also up about 18% in roughly the past decade. And dementia, the numbers are expected to triple by 2050. Why? Why is this happening?
Can you guess where she's going with this?
Well, I don't know where she's going with it, but I'm guessing she's going to blame it on the drugs themselves.
Driving these trends in colleges and all around the world. Do we know anything about the root causes is there anything we can do about this, or is this just how it's supposed to be? Well, there are some theories that have been around a long time about what causes these mental health problems. The neurotransmitter deficit theory, stress, trauma, and of course your mother.
Which actually I think that is the correct answer in most cases.
So what about this modern atrocity? Might this have a little something to do with it? We have learned the hard way, as many other speakers have just told you, about how dangerous this diet is, this modern diet, for our physical health. So it stands to reason, why should the brain be any different? Psychiatry as a field is in its infancy, nutritional psychiatry. But I believe that the decline in mental health around the world has a lot to do with the decline in the quality of our diet over the past 75 years. And I think that's catching up with us. And I believe that it may be one of the primary driving factors behind many mental illnesses.
Not often discussed. And I encourage everyone to go take a look at that and see it in the show notes.
That caught me off guard.
Yeah.
But I believe it might be true. The problem is, I like to know what specifically, because this is all a recent phenomenon. When my parents were raising me, they just ate lots of beef, and potatoes, and really not a lot of vegetable salad once in a while.
I know you're not OTG, so you by definition you're OTG, but look around your environment in the world. It's all KFC, McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's. All of this stuff. People aren't eating food. It's not food.
They're eating wood.
They're eating wood chips and chemicals. And immediately people, it's sugar. Yeah, it could be all whole kinds of things. But we had a lot more sugar back in the day, I think. But it was real sugar. It wasn't high fructose. It wasn't all this other crap. Our weed was good. It was all jacked up. But yeah,
today's weed is not usable. At least to me.
But I think it's very interesting. And of course, the picture that she showed, was just a picture of a bunch of junk food. And really, people eat junk. They just do. I mean, that it's a silent killer.
And it's worldwide.
Yeah. And it's doing all kinds of weird stuff. What was it? There was another strange survey that I saw. Let me see where that was. Just the idea for this survey. Yeah, here it is. PubMed. Hold on. Let me bring this up. I didn't look at the study, but the abstract was interesting. This is a study about heterosexual college students who hook up with same-sex partners.
What?
Heterosexual.
Why do they do that if they're heterosexual?
Well, this is what the study was about.
They don't like the girls?
Heterosexual. Well, it's women do this more than men, apparently.
Oh, yes. I think we've all noticed that.
Abstract. Individuals who identify as heterosexual but engage in same-sex sexual behavior fascinate both researchers and the media. They
like to watch.
They do. We analyzed the online college social life survey data set of over 24,000 undergraduate students to examine students whose last hookup was with a same-sex partner. 12% of men, 25% of women. So it happens with women twice as much, according to their study. 3 types of, latent class analysis revealed 6 distinctive types of heterosexually identified students whose last hookup was with a same-sex partner. 3 types, comprising 60% of the students, could be classified as mostly private sexual experimentation going among those with little prior same-sex experience, including some who did not enjoy the encounter. So, I'm not quite sure what. First of all, why even do this survey? The whole thing is odd.
The whole thing, the world's going to hell in a handbasket.
Kinda. And then, it's bad to be a man, It's bad to be an alpha male kind of dude. It's bad. We know this is toxic masculinity.
Toxic masculinity.
Right?
Yeah, right.
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 Well, CNBC proves that this toxic masculinity is not helping if you're a traitor, all traitors that I know are toxic masculines. Would you agree?
I would say yes to that.
And there's some female traitors, of course, but most of
they're toxic masculines.
Yeah. And these guys are like, rah, rah, get him, boom, 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 chicks, strippers, ah. Well, it turns out that's not that good.
Hedge funds, an industry synonymous with alpha. That's what most of them strive for, alpha or outperformance. But it's also an industry spearheaded by a certain stereotype. Straight out of central casting, the alpha males. A new study asks, do alpha males, or those with higher testosterone levels, deliver better returns?
Research conducted here at the University of Central Florida and Singapore Management University found that hedge fund managers with higher testosterone levels tend to underperform those with lower testosterone levels by 5.8% each year on average.
The distance between the... Researcher Yan Liu used hedge fund managers' facial dimensions as a proxy for their testosterone levels.
This was very interesting to me. This particular part.
Crap. This is bull crap.
Yeah, CNBC. I mean, it's the NBC News
CNBC,
Network.
Part of the NBC family. They all hate men.
Clearly. And how can you... So apparently they measured testosterone levels by face dimensions.
Yeah. How does that work?
Well, I don't know, but...
I mean, you get a bigger head if you're shooting up steroids.
Maybe face bag is not going to be... Tag me is low T.
Studied images of over 3,000 hedge fund managers, all male. She used this square tool to measure the facial ratio to determine their testosterone levels. Liu's report cites other studies showing the facial width to height ratio as a reliable cue to masculine behaviors. Liu also found that high T levels in a firm's figurehead made it more likely the fund would close.
We found like the high level of testosterone can, for human beings, can bring to the aggression, fearlessness, risk-taking, and all ecocentrism. And then these features can also lead to the unethical behavior.
Other studies have found that testosterone has been beneficial in certain jobs, namely for CEOs and high-frequency traders. But for better returns in the hedge fund world, Liu advises investors to avoid alpha male managers.
Avoid alpha male managers.
High-speed traders aren't doing it because they're all hyped up on roids.
No, it's computers.
It's done by a computer.
I know. I was going to mention that and made the report kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, that ruined it.
All right. Well, then let me just go to the most ridiculous report that just galls me to no end. I've already alluded to my disdain for journos of all persuasions who just suck at reporting on technology. And I do not understand, and this is your profession, and maybe you can discuss this with your LibJoe friends. I do not understand why in today's modern age, where we are surrounded by computers, everything has a connection to the microservices architecture in one form or the other. Everything is connected. You need to report and tell us what is actually going on instead of resorting to lame words and abbreviations.
If you were one of the millions of Americans who tried to file your federal tax return electronically on Tuesday but couldn't, you might be wondering what happened. NPR's Brian Naylor reports we now have a better idea of what caused the snafu.
Okay, let's stop right there. Cause the snafu. Snafu stands for situation normal all fucked up. What does that have to do with this story?
Oh, it has nothing to do with it. He just threw the word in because he liked it.
Yeah, because it's a technology story. So we'll just throw in some semi-tech stories. Yeah, that's what engineers say. It's snafu. It's not just a snafu. This is our federal tax dollar system that is stealing our money.
The problem arose in the early hours of Tuesday morning, the busiest day of the tax year for the IRS. According to the agency, a piece of hardware went down connected to the IRS's master file, the core processing system that holds all taxpayer information. The glitch meant other applications.
You cannot use the word glitch anymore in 2018. It's not okay. Do you understand what happened? Do you actually know what happened here, John?
Do I?
From this report?
No, of course not. It was a glitch.
And just throws in the word glitch. I mean, if you're a serious... This is NPR. If you're a serious journalist, you need to really just explain what happened here. But no, we just use the term glitch.
The glitch meant other applications couldn't access the master file data. The issue was fixed about 11 hours later, the IRS says, and the agency was able to accept tax returns again. The delay was an inconvenience for taxpayers and a high-profile embarrassment for the agency.
So then they go on with this story to reveal the true nature of the glitch and what this is really all about. But don't even realize that's actually the story.
But it didn't really come as a surprise. Here's IRS official Jeffrey Tribbiano testifying before a House Oversight Subcommittee last October.
We are concerned that the risk of a catastrophic system failure is increasing as our infrastructure continues to age.
Former IRS Commissioner John Koskinen says the computer glitch was the predictable consequence of years of congressional budget cuts, which in turn led to significant staff cutbacks.
The budget has been continually under pressure for the last 8 years, even though we have almost 20,000 fewer employees and 10 million more taxpayers. So sooner or later, something's going to give.
They just want more money.
Yeah,
it's all that it's about. Do. And we warned about this. How about someone go investigate said glitch to see if they didn't, if this was not self snafu?
Can I kind of maybe ask a rhetorical question?
Please.
How do computers work in the market? In other words, does a computer that can do, let's say, a certain amount of processing, we'll call it X amount of processing, that computer, let's say it costs $1,000 for this computer that can do X amount of processing. 2 years later, does that computer cost more money?
Oh, because you already have it, you mean?
No. If you wanted to buy a computer that had the same power 2 years later.
No. In fact, it should be half the price.
Yeah. So all the extra processing and everything should have been going down in price every year. So these massive systems should never cost more than they originally cost.
Well,
because of the nature of the business. Hard disks, they've dropped to I can buy 5 terabytes.
Yes, but I would say that the licensing fees have probably increased over time.
Don't they write their own code at the IRS?
No, man. They bring in Oracle people and IBM people, and this is all. Oh, no. It's a huge money maker. Hey, bro, let's bring in this system. Yeah.
I think it's a scam. The taxpayers are getting ripped off.
Yeah. Yeah, they are.
They don't need more money.
But I would really like them to get a lot more money so that they can really mess it up. Because that's what happens. Could you imagine if the new IRS, where we fixed everything, and it's just like the Obamacare website? It'd be great. I could do with a little less taxes.
All right. I think you made your point.
All right.
Let's get a couple stories out of the way. I think the murdering grandma story is my favorite this week.
I don't think I've heard this one, murdering grandma.
Yeah. We're going to turn next tonight to the fugitive grandmother, possibly facing the death penalty. She's wanted in 2 murders. Lois Reese leading police on a nationwide manhunt for nearly a month now. Authorities following a trail of surveillance. Tonight, you'll hear the audio and where she was captured. Here's ABC's Marcus Moore.
You'd hardly know it from her smile, but Lois Reese was one of the most wanted fugitives in the country, on the run for nearly a month. Last night, a manager at a restaurant in South Padre Island, Texas, spotted the 56-year-old grandmother. U.S. Marshals cuffing her without incident at this neighboring restaurant, and that smile barely diminished.
She looks like anybody's mother or grandmother, yet she's an absolute cold-blooded murderer.
Would you take 35 cents just to keep going on down to the next stage?
Reese's initial getaway plan seemingly captured at this gas station, right after police say she shot and killed her husband, David, in Minnesota. Later spotted at this Iowa casino. Authorities believe the alleged gambling addict then drove to Fort Myers, Florida, befriending Pamela Hutchinson, allegedly murdering the 59-year-old who police described as a lookalike and taking her credit cards and ID. Police say Reese also stole Hutchinson's white Acura, seen in this surveillance video, allegedly using it to travel to South Texas, where a deadly cross-country run from justice came to an end just miles from Mexico.
And tonight, as the charges mount against her, Reese could end up facing the death penalty. David.
Now, do you know why it took them so long to finally catch up to her? Why she could be on the run for so long?
She's a pro, I think.
An old chick with a Symbian phone. No tracking.
Well, when anyone who goes and kills a lookalike.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
That's a pro.
Now they really know what they're doing.
They bust her out. I bet you she gets out of this.
Oh my goodness, it's sad.
That's very sad. So there's a lot of pot stories because 420.
Yes.
So we have a pot story. I think I have 2 of them here. I have the pot story about pot and driving in Colorado. It's kind of interesting.
Yes News poll finds 59% of Americans think marijuana should be legal. What about the dangers of driving while high? And Colorado, one of the first states to allow recreational pot, 51 driving deaths in 2016 were linked to marijuana. Barry Peterson has this story.
I just don't want this to happen to somebody else.
Barb Deckert's fiancé, Ron Edwards, was driving to work on his motorcycle when a driver ran a red light and hit him. Edwards died in the 2015 crash, and according to police, the car's driver had marijuana in his system.
Do you think the marijuana may have or did contribute to this?
Oh, absolutely.
According to a new state survey.
Hey, I have a question. Does that type of accident, as horrific as it is, does it count towards a marijuana driving while stoned statistic, or does it count towards traffic statistic? Or both?
I think both. It's a DUI.
Okay.
Did contribute to this?
Oh, absolutely.
According to a new state survey of 11,000 anonymous Colorado marijuana users, 69% said they have driven high in the last year. In some states, driving under the influence of more than 5 nanograms of marijuana is illegal. But here's the reality. Measuring impairment is complicated.
There is no science behind an exact number of impairment.
Colorado Traffic Safety Resource Prosecutor Jennifer Knudsen.
With alcohol, we have accepted ranges of dissipation, and we can kind of tell, 1 drink equals this. With other drugs, there's no such thing.
You could have 3 marijuana cigarettes, but it might affect you differently if you're a regular user than if you've come from out of state and this is your first time.
Absolutely.
Colorado is in the middle of a pilot program examining oral fluid testing devices. Knudsen showed us an example.
So this is your market tip.
My market
a company that comes out with a testing device.
Yeah. What was the name of the company?
They never said. Now,
that's not much of a tip.
No, the idea is the tip.
Okay.
Now, along the same lines, I think the Democrats are pulling a fast one.
Well, it seems like everyone's all in for weed these days, all of a sudden.
Yeah, so let's listen to Schumer's ploy.
The news anchor Kristen Z is here with more on that. Kristen.
Yeah, recreational marijuana is allowed here in California, 8 other states, and the District of Columbia. You see them highlighted here in green. 20 other states allow only medicinal marijuana. You see them in blue. And, of course, federal law still bans marijuana. That's why SFO tweeted this morning today, TSA screens for aviation threats, but also law violations. Federal law treats marijuana as illegal. Passengers with suspect items at checkpoints will be sent to law enforcement officer. Well, that may soon change. Today, Senate Minority Leader Democrat Chuck Schumer tweeted he's introducing legislation to decriminalize pot at the federal level.
At the federal level, this means that federal agents will not be arresting people, trying people for use of marijuana.
Meantime, local law enforcement and transit agencies are asking Californians to use with caution. Caltrain tweeted, reminder, there's no toking, vaping, smoking, hotboxing, nor puffing allowed on Caltrain or on our platform. Thank you, and have a nice day.
Wow, hotboxing a Caltrain is a fun idea.
What the hell does that even mean?
Oh, so if you're in the car and you hotbox, that means you just smoke a whole bunch of marijuana with the windows up and no circulation of ventilation. So it's just a big hot box. So you can just invite friends in there. Hey, come sit here for a minute or two.
How does that work on a train platform?
Oh, I don't think she meant in the actual train. Hotbox the whole train car.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Hence my point.
So here's what's going on. This Schumer is giving the hint. He's going to put some legislation that won't get passed.
No.
But it's not going to get passed because of the Republicans.
Yes.
And so what they're going to do is they're going to set the Republicans up.
Yeah, they make them look like a-holes for being anti-weed.
Yeah, we already know the stat that 56% or 59% of the American public want is legalized.
Yeah.
And now you have these asshole Republicans who are going to end up eating crap because Schumer's going to push this through, and these guys are all going to feel obliged to vote no, and then they're going to be called out for it to say, hey, these old-fashioned farts, these guys are losers. Vote Democrat. This is just obvious.
Do they not? Do you think they don't see this one coming? Because it's, as you would say, coming down Broadway. I mean, it's very obvious.
Down Broadway.
It's coming down Broadway, baby.
I think a few of them see it, but
Schumer has to put the way it would work, and I think you're right, is he would have to put something into the legislation that would be so offensive that it wouldn't necessarily be about the weed itself. There's always some other little gotcha they put in there.
I don't think he has to. I disagree with this. Just decriminalizing weed nationwide.
And why could the Republicans not be on board with that?
Because all the DEA guys and all the law enforcement experts and everybody's going to come out and they're all Republicans and they're going to say, you can't vote for this. It's going to ruin the country. We're all going to be just a bunch of dope fiends.
Because Trump seems more pro now.
Jeff Sessions is definitely not.
Yeah, we know. But he doesn't get to vote.
I just think this is a setup.
Yeah, well, I'm just trying to think why wouldn't Republicans?
Because I think you kind of keep missing the point.
Yeah.
Which is Republicans are idiots.
Okay.
You yourself.
Yeah, you're right. What am I thinking?
Yeah, you yourself just earlier in the show said both these guys, both sides are idiots.
Yeah.
Except that the Republicans about certain topics are real idiots.
Yeah.
This being one of them. And the Democrats, there's a few Democrats, Schumer being one of them, that can outsmart most of the Republicans.
Yeah.
That's what we're looking at.
Yeah. But I have a shorty, a weed clip. It actually ties into what you identified on the previous episode, that 420 is now being deemed a holiday. Yeah, that was a good catch.
Today is April 20th. It is also known as 420 Day, a so-called pot holiday, and we're going in depth tonight on marijuana. What it means.
I mean, we don't have to play the whole clip because it's explained. Well, actually, I will play
pot
it.
holiday.
Yeah, this is how the pot. This is what we celebrate now in America.
For your safety on the road, the money it's making for our state, and the benefits and challenges we have seen since voters legalized recreational pot in 2012. First, though, how did 420 become the name for a weed holiday? There are several theories. The most common is that it started in California as a secret code among high schoolers in the early 70s. They would often meet at 420 in the afternoon to get high because it was after school and before their parents got home.
Yeah, okay. I thought it was Hitler's birthday we were celebrating. Why? I mean, that's what they should do. You know, pin it on the alt-right. Nazis, Nazis, weed. They're Nazis. You smoke weed, you're a Nazi. We can. I mean, we're so good at this. We could put this together in a heartbeat. This is a great promotion.
So I realized looking down my clip list that I missed the one clip that would have fit into your sexual harassment section.
You want to do it still? I mean, we should take a break. Is it something that'll take us to the break?
No. Do I have anything to take us to the break?
I got just a minor little topic to take us in.
Okay,
As Edison Research came out with, what is this? Now, here we go. The Edison Research came out with what is podcasting is hot, baby. Everyone's talking about it again. You know, Serial put it on the map.
Yeah, I saw this too.
Adam Carolla's the podfather, all that stuff. It's titled The Podcast Consumer. And I want you to pay attention to the podcast you're listening to, because this type of data, especially when it's public like this, is going to be used over and over again to sell you as an audience. And they got some crazy stuff in here. Podcast listeners.
I tried to clip out of this thing, and I never finished listening to it. I just decided there is nothing in this report that I don't know.
But does this remind you of? Well, okay, here we go. Findings in this report: podcasting is growing. Monthly listeners grew from 24% of Americans 12 plus. There's your demographic, to 20% year over year. Podcast listeners are more likely to own a smart speaker. That's the official term now.
That is the
smart speaker.
That is the lead into some sort of advertising campaign.
Totally. I might want to add that the Keeper and I will be disposing of our smart speakers pretty soon.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And it came from a demo I did yesterday, because now you can just tell her to call. I said, you call Tina. And then it says, okay, I'm calling Tina. Now, I didn't give it any information. How does it know who Tina is? That there's only one Tina I want to call? This is not my contact list. I've sent stuff to Tina before, so I'm sure that's where Amazon got it from. And they had a number and called and connect, like a speakerphone.
Really?
Yeah.
That's creepy.
Uh-huh. And it wasn't the calling part. It was all the stuff in between. Like, wow, you got that right in a heartbeat. Anyway, so podcast listeners are more likely to own a smart speaker. Listening in vehicles is growing. And here's my favorite. Remind you of a pod show meeting 10 years ago. Podcasting's share of ear has doubled in 4 years. Share of ear.
Share of ear.
This is just the stupidest
Anyone who says something like that should be shot.
Share of ear. Oh. Podcasts are the number one audio source by time of consumption among podcast listeners. What kind of statistic is that?
What does it even mean?
That people who listen to podcasts listen the most. I don't know. But I want you to be aware that this sad fact is now taking place, and everyone's going to get all wrapped up in on it. And we've seen this movie. We lived through it. It doesn't work. What does work is our value for value model.
33.
Oh. No.
Yeah, that works too.
I really blew that. Damn it.
Yeah, you had it timed out. You were going to nail it.
I'm going to show my support by donating to No Agenda. Imagine all the people who could do that. Oh yeah, that'd be fab. Yeah, on No Agenda.
classic Curry, no agenda move.
So I'm wondering, the spreadsheet's got all the checks because they're right there.
Yeah.
Dame Amanda.
Yeah.
Baron Mark Tanner.
Yeah.
Where is, I will send a note, of course, to the back office. Where is the 12345 check from, which I'm just going to assume I'm not going to put it in for the next one. You guys can deal with the books later. From Sir Donald Borowski of the Fire Bottles Baron of Spokane County in Spokane Valley, Washington, WA6OMI.
There's a discrepancy in the accounting.
Yeah.
Well, this is a problem.
Somebody must have run off with the money. So he's a little note because he's a member of the United Federation of Planets, and thus we have to read his note. But he says he got nothing to say this month. NJNK, cheers and beers. So that's that.
And then, thank you very much.
Onward to Daniel Lind, came in with $100.27. Hi, John and Adam. I would like to request that F Cancer Remember My Father. We're going to put that at the end for you. And passing away 2 years ago, so we need to account for that. Anonymous, $100. He needs jobs karma. We'll put that in there with that. Patrick Brandon in Bakersfield, California, 8686. Sir Carl Heberger in Rochester, New York, 80. Carl with a K. Sir Brian Kaufman in Scottsdale, Arizona, 7575. I should have sent a note in. Who else? Christopher? No. Dame Amanda did. Sir Mark Robertson, Baron Haggis, 75 even. Sir John the Brewer, 7373. He was at excuse me. John the Brewer was at the meetup. In Ocean Springs. 73 is KW4RAK5ACC.
That's me. Kilo 5 Alpha Charlie. Charlie says 73 is Kilo Whiskey 4 Romeo Alpha.
And especially to Sir Mark of the Broken iPhone for picking up the tab in Biloxi.
Oh, that was nice.
Yeah. Actually, Sir Mark of the Broken iPhone picked up the tab for everybody.
Oh, that's super nice.
Should have been credited a couple $100 or something.
Hey, but Sir John the Brewer is Kilo Golf 5 Zulu Foxtrot Alpha.
I don't know who KW4RA is.
Yeah, because what's your call sign? K6? KJ6.
Liquid natural gas, LNG.
KJ6 LNG. All right.
Yeah. Kevin Johnson, 6 LNG, liquid natural gas.
Gotcha. 73s, my friend. Oh, good buddy.
73s to you. 73s to everybody.
73s, OM.
Christopher Martin is another ham, WA7C. Is that an I think? I am in Olympia, Washington.
Yeah.
I have a note. I think I'll take a look at this note. We don't have a lot of donors. 73s and 88s. I'm a long-time listener, first-time donor. Thank you, Mr. Curry, and yourself for keeping this millennial woke. Please de-douche me.
We can do that right away.
You've been de-douched.
Also send some jobs karma to my fellow engineers who are losing their jobs to team reorg cost reduction. Finally, I'd like to get an order of helping of a mac and cheese. Now to Mr. Curry, we'll put your jobs thing at the end. Now to Mr. Curry, I admit his OTG pager idea. I admire his OTG pager idea, but pagers transmit in clear text, a cheap software-defined radio with GNU radio, GNU, can decode transmissions, so it's a trade-off of privacy and trackability. Speaking of tracking, I will be on holiday in July and plan to be visiting the Netherlands.
Oh, good.
Do you have any suggestions for tourist activities?
Yeah. Send me a note, and I'll send you a couple. And yes, that is, by the way, that is also a downside to the pager idea. I totally agree.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. That it's really just like a it's kind of like a catch system, so it's just looking for its cap code to come by. It's always receiving, then it sees it. It goes, this is for me, and sucks in that one particular message and then reports that it has a new message. And sending back is basically doing the reverse. So yeah, it's completely clear text. There seems to be like a pretty big fire going on here at my old place, which I can see from here. It's like
your old place is on fire.
Yeah,
these guys
fire
cannot
trucks.
keep up on the database. They're burning down the wrong place.
You got hey over here, guys. All right, sorry.
Okay, that was Sir Brian, right?
Yeah.
Where am I? Yeah. Sir Mark Robertson, Baronet. Oh, that's Baronet Haggis. We got him. Sir John the Brewer, we got him. Christopher Martin, WA7, we got him. Jeez. Sir Dirtbag Dave comes in, $69.99 from Concord, California. Dame Amanda of the Northeast comes in from Vernon Rockville, Connecticut, $69.69. She sends a note in. I'll read it because you didn't get enough donations, so you're stuck. Dear ACJCD, I sent in 2 donations 2 weeks ago, but show 1024 was so fabulous that I just had to contribute more value for value. Huh? Thank you. That's the kind of compliment we're looking for.
We love that.
Yep. Okay. Where was I? Dame. Where's Dame? Where's the Dame? Dame. Okay. Then Baron Mark Tanner, 6666. Donald Napier, probably, 6660. Alexandra Rosenman. Oh, Tom Starkweather's her boyfriend. He introduced me to your show some time ago. Hungry College Kids, okay? Thanks for your work. Sir Jonathan of the Double-Bladed Paddle, St. Louis, Missouri, 5510. Not sure. I don't know. I'm losing track of these things. Jamie Graham, $55. And then
also needs an F cancer for Jamie's uncle Gil. Or Jill. Dame Jamie. Yes. Rare breed preservationist.
Dame Jamie.
Yes.
Andrew Benz, 505 from Imperial Mara, Missouri. And then the following people are $50 donors. There's not a lot of them. Daniel LeBoy in Bath, Michigan. Brandon Menk in Tempe, Arizona. Patrick Maycomb, Sir Patrick Maycomb in New York City. Sir Jerry Wingenroth in Saugus, California. And finally, Dame Susan Johnson in Newberg, Oregon. I want to thank all these folks for helping us out on show 1027.
Yes, thank you for participating in our now decade-long experiment, which seems to have positive results, long-term results, to allow us to bring you unfettered information, not targeted towards your demo, your age demographic, or your psychographic. We believe that some things can be interesting to all people. Do we not?
Yes.
Yes. And no matter what your age.
If you listen to the beginning of the show, you'll know what we're talking about.
Exactly. So we want to thank everyone who also came in under $50 under that level for reasons of anonymity, or if they're on one of our multiple programs, it's always in the newsletter. Please sign up for the newsletter, noagendashow.com. Any place where there's an archive, we always have a link to sign up to the newsletter. It's a fantastic product. And please donate, because otherwise John's going to keep putting those damn kitten pictures in there. And it's going too far.
Yeah, well, we used to rely on those kitten pictures to get donations, but they seem to be failing.
They seem to be failing big time.
Yeah.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
Well, step back for this list. Mark Robertson says happy birthday to his brother, Sir Ramen Noodles. He celebrated yesterday on the day before yesterday, on 4/20. And that's your list of birthdays for today. No nights, no title changes, nothing at all.
Boring.
Rather short.
Attention all human resources. Now entering second half of show.
Second half of show. Second half of show. Yeah, I just could not pass up the opportunity, as we were both, I would say, under attack over the weekend, under email and Twitter attack, and people telling us we've made the biggest mistake in our lives. We are in error. You know what you're talking about.
And these are people that don't listen to the show. I'm sure of it.
Must be.
I don't even know if they're real people. It seemed to be some sort of a campaign.
I received identical messages that you did. I didn't say it on the email because I was having too much fun watching you get triggered by it. You really don't like it when people send you nut job videos.
I just block them.
You replied. And you're like, why? Why are they targeting me?
Well, I was whining about it,
yeah. You were. And this is regarding the story about Allison Mack, the actress who has been part of a sex cult. NXIVM. And, I'm going to play the report. Actually, this is a pretty decent report because it brings in the other, there are some other famous, quasi-famous people in here. Catherine Oxenberg, who was on Dynasty for many years. And let's just listen to the report as a backgrounder.
Allison Mack found fame on Smallville as a teen with a crush on young Superman. Today, she was in court accused of sex trafficking. Prosecutors say she was helping alleged cult leader Keith Raniere recruit women who would eventually become his sex slaves. Mack barely said a word as the judge read the charges. Tonight, we spoke with the former longtime girlfriend of Raniere, who was accused of leading the cult called NXIVM.
I'm confident that on some level, that Keith and Nancy in the inner circle convinced Allison that these kind of exercises and processes were going to elevate these women to a higher level of awareness and strength. And I'm willing to bet that Allison kind of bought into that concept. And Allison probably doesn't think right at this moment that anything that she did was possibly abusive.
Prosecutors say under the guise of a women's self-help and empowerment group, the Albany-based organization that calls itself NXIVM was seducing women to abandon their old lives and come join the cult. Some women were even branded with Raniere's initials after joining. Mack, a business partner and so-called slave master, was said to be second in command.
It's very upsetting and nauseating to me.
Stanley Zareff says his dear friend's daughter is one of the victims who got sucked into the clutches of this secret society. That friend, actress Catherine Oxenberg, both Oxenberg and Raniere's ex-girlfriend, spoke outside court last week after the 57-year-old Raniere was arraigned.
This is a very personal fight for me. He is where he deserves to be, behind bars for the rest of his life.
And I think that this is just the beginning of what needs to happen to stop this reign of terror that Keith Raniere and NXIVM has.
And prosecutors are calling the group a cult and a pyramid scheme and are asking for any other potential victims to come forward.
Say what?
Make up your mind.
Yeah, about what it is.
Yeah.
Well, the white rabbit that is QAnon has tapped into this story.
See, this is so QAnon is a trigger.
Yeah, for you,
for me, because there's
bullshit.
Nothing good that comes of it.
No,
it's just some bull crapper. Some guy was really good at
bull crapping.
He's really good at it, and he gets all these people worked up about stuff that is
to an extreme.
Yeah.
And they're connecting.
Me worked up too.
They're connecting the Standard Hotel. They're connecting. It's Pizzagate. It's Obama is eating children. I mean, it's really it's. And I put all these links in the show notes. These are very seriously researched things. But the thing that you're all missing is, because they're trying to take it back. Pizzagate is real. You see, they're all in a sex cult. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, there's a lot of sex cults. There's a lot of creepy things. Certainly in Hollywood. I'm not so sure that that's the same as upstate New York. Okay,
there's a lot of witches in upstate.
Well,
New York.
And Hillary, she lives there, and she's eating babies. Yeah, we know that, but this is not your proof. I think if anything, it's a distraction from the real crimes because again, we have no victims. We don't have victims of the sex cult or the goes to Pizzagate. Yeah, definitely.
Being ground up and spiced with oregano, basil, and then they put on the pizza.
Yeah, exactly. Grind it up and put it on the pizza.
Well, I have
But let me just finish.
Well, I just want to say I'm saying this. I'm not telling you to play anything, but I do have a clip that I want to play before you leave the segment.
Okay, good. Got it. I've been researching pedophile rings for a long time. And I've gotten into trouble over it. Burned down my show, burned down the radio station, pulled the
radio
license.
Station. Let's back up and we have a lot of people that probably never heard this story. You might as well tell it again.
It was regarding the highest official in the justice system in the Netherlands. I can't remember his name now with a D. Joris. The troll room will know. Deming. There we go. Deming. And, there were actual victims who were speaking out against his pedophilia. And, people were getting thrown in jail who were onto him and knew what he was doing. And there was ample reporting by, pretty respectable journalists / magazines for that type of story. This whole thing got completely shut down through the justice system itself because it's rife. It's rife with creeps. And the Catholic Church. I mean, which priest has gone to jail? There are real things that are really sad and bad and wrong. And, you're all like following this Q guy to try and figure out, if Obama's eating babies with Hillary. We need you need some actual victims, not just the members of the cult, because there's all kinds of, that's like Scientology. There's all kinds of weird things.
Hey, man, let's do some DNA testing on the sausage put on the pizzas.
The only thing that I think is interesting, or an interesting correlation, is the branding. Because if you recall, was it Catherine Fitz? Is that her name? The one who says she was an MK Ultra sex slave?
Was she branded?
Yeah. Yeah, but she was branded. So this appears to be, there's some correlation there. But, stop sending us this stuff because find some victims, then I'll be really interested. But I just don't see it here. But yeah, Hollywood entertainment.
Well, let's get back to your story. You didn't finish it for the new listeners, and then we have a few.
Oh, well, I started talking about this story on the air on Arrow Classic Rock. And all of a sudden, the law firm Blackstone Group, something. I mean, they are the real bad actors. And within 10 days, the government said, we're pulling your license. I got, of course, fired after 2 days. This thing went viral. You can still find it on YouTube. And it just became an incredible mess, and the station shut down. Gone.
Wasn't it burned to the ground?
Well, metaphorically speaking, there was no actual fire. You kind of made that up along the way, and I liked it. There was no actual fire. But the guy, all his funding was pulled. His license was pulled first, and all his investors pulled out, so he couldn't even reboot. It was a very interesting period, and I was glad I was living in London.
That's when you decided, I'm going to invent podcasting, and I'm going to not be. You can't. What are you going to? Well, now, of course, they are trying to burn down your old place, which you just said. I got to tell you,
I just looked out the window, and you know how often you'll see the fire trucks, but I see the hoses hooked up to the fire hydrants. So there's a real fire going on.
Huh. Well, the joke's on them.
I live here. Gosh darn it. Exactly.
All right.
So I'll just say we're not closing out the segment. I'll just say I'm very open, but please don't send me these lists of links and how they link. Send me some victims. Send me a victim, and then I'll be interested. You have no victims. But look at Dutroux and those crazy guys. Look at the Isle of Jersey. That's real, with real victims and real dead bodies. You don't show me a dead body, and then I'll be interested. Otherwise, you're just wasting your time.
So this Missouri governor is getting under fire he's a creep. He's apparently an S&M dom of some
I haven't heard about this. Who is this guy? Another fun actor.
They're trying to get him to quit, but I mean, now they've got some really bogus charge about him using a mailing list illegally. So out he should go, even though it's a mailing list he developed. But play this Missouri clip.
Missouri Governor Eric Greitens was hit with another felony charge Friday. While there are growing calls for Greitens to resign, the governor says he's the victim of a smear campaign. Kenneth Craig has the latest details.
There was no sign of Missouri Governor Eric Greitens in public Saturday as the Republican, once considered a rising GOP star, faces his second felony charge during his first term in office. The latest charge accuses Greitens of attempting to raise funds for his 2016 gubernatorial campaign by allegedly tapping into the donor database of a veterans charity, a charity he founded.
We knew how many people were counting on us to win this election.
Greitens, a former Navy SEAL and Rhodes Scholar, was already set to go to trial next month for allegedly snapping a non-consensual photo of a partially nude and blindfolded woman with whom he had an affair before he took office. That woman's husband secretly recorded her describing the incident.
Used some sort of tape, I don't know what it was, and taped my hands to these rings. And then put a blindfold on me.
A report released from a bipartisan House investigation detailed accusations of unwanted sexual encounters that included spanking, slapping, and calling her derogatory names.
Wait a minute. This, I don't know, man. This sounds like a relationship gone bad. Yeah, now it's hashtag Me Too, unwanted spanking. Isn't that kind of how the game is played? Oh, don't spank me. Oh, we're sex obsessed. This is why
it's going to hell in a handbasket.
This is why I keep telling Tina. I said every show on television needs to have one, compassionate sex scene or some compassion and love. You got to have the idea that sex is taking place.
No, so it's it's mostly punchlines.
Yeah, exactly. It's good for people. If not always crazy stuff. Not always. Sometimes. A dabble. And I got some Syria.
Close the segment.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I don't even remember. Oh, second half. I'm just closing it.
Okay, we're done.
Yeah, with that.
What do you got on Syria?
I got on Syria. Let me see.
Well, you might as well start with mine then. Rolling with attacking Syria. Weird PBS clip. This is from during the attack. I want to comment on this clip.
President Trump tweeted this morning, the missiles are coming. Let's say we do go forward. What are the options for the U.S.?
Well, I think the first thing to consider here is that the options will flow from the purpose of the attack.
Meaning what we want to get out of it.
The objectives, right? And these have to come from a very deliberate process inside the Situation Room led by National Security Advisor Bolton and ultimately approved by the president. So once the objectives are set, and here I imagine the objectives are reasonably simple, and that is to punish those responsible for this particular attack, to impose costs, and by way of those costs, attempt to deter future attacks. And if that's the objective, from that flows tasks to the intelligence community, tasks to the diplomatic community, and tasks to the military.
Okay.
The whole thing, according to him, is led by National Security Advisor Bolton. Why? Why does he lead this? Isn't this shouldn't the Joint Chiefs of
military
Staff
operation? Yeah,
head of the Army or somebody, or or General Dynamics or anybody? Why Bolton? Bolton's a national security advisor.
I can tell you why. Because Bolton is being set up as the fall guy.
I don't think so.
We'll see. If anything goes wrong in Syria, it's his fault.
Well, okay, I'm not going to argue it.
Funding was paused for multiple NGOs and boot help, but not military boots, boot help on the ground in Syria. The most notable being of that category being the white helmets, and Heather and Matt is in the room. Of course, it seems like Matt is always there now that Heather's book has shrunk. Heather is trying to explain how great they are. And in fact, they are so great that their funding apparently has not even stopped.
The stabilization funding is under review at this time.
Yes, stabilization funding. I'm sorry. They had to have a cool name.
Recognize and appreciate and are very grateful for all the work that the White Helmets continues to do on behalf of the people of their country and on behalf of the U.S. government and all the coalition forces. They're doing incredible work in rescuing in some cases, and other cases is recovery efforts. They're an incredible group of individuals.
Incredible.
But I just don't have any additional information for you on the funding yet.
But if the funding for them stops, does it mean that their work has gotten less good
Their work stands for itself, and that is excellent work.
Is the premise of her question correct?
And, she's not lying. It's excellent. They do a great job at faking videos. They're just stupid because they keep taking selfies of them doing it.
Has funding for programs
No,
that support them?
that all continues right now. I just exchanged emails with him the other day. My understanding is that their work is still going on, and we're proud to work with them.
The U.S. funding for them. Any funds that the U.S. was giving them. Has the funding, any funding that the U.S. was providing to this group ended because of the pause?
As far as I'm aware, all of the work still continues. People's bills are still being paid. If there's anything that's a change to that, I'll certainly let you know.
U.S. contributions are still flowing?
As far as I know, that is all still in play.
Can you just check that, though? Because there's an internal State Department document that says on April 15th that funding would have ended.
I will double.
You're not going to comment.
I will double check on that. If it's an internal document, I can't. We don't comment on internal documents, but I'm not aware of one floating around if there is one that says that.
We don't comment on public documents, but if there is one floating around, gosh, Heather, wrong side of history, girl, and we're just paying for them. I guess we knew that. Did we know that we're paying for them? Their bills are being.
The British were paying for them.
Well, everyone's paying for them. She said, as far as I know, everyone's bills are being paid.
These guys have been busted out more than a few times as a bunch of fakes. I don't get it.
The Whyhees.
I don't get it.
White helmets. It's an abbrev, the Whyhees.
Yeah, well, I don't like that one.
Okay, white helmets. Yeah, I didn't realize that we were paying their bills, as she literally said. Now, over in the Gitmo Nation East in the UK,
they're all Hamas.
Yeah, in the UK, we've heard. I've played multiple clips of people who are getting cut off, told to shut up. You're nuts about Syria when they say, well, why would Assad even do this? He was winning, 7 years of this turmoil, and then all of a sudden, oh, no, I'm going to throw some chemical weapons to have the wrath of Trump upon me.
Did you see the OA with that news service that's got the Elizabeth Wheeler on?
America One News.
One of the guys roaming around Dumas, and he's saying, there's nothing going on here. And
yes. Yes. One America News.
Yeah, One American News.
Yeah, I told you that's an interesting channel.
Yeah, well, I have to say, with this guy roaming around, saying you're talking to everybody around there. The place is a disaster, of course.
Yeah.
And in case the whole thing is, everyone thinks it was a staged.
Well,
and there's nothing. It was all just done for TV.
That's why their bills are still getting paid, and they're per diem.
Per diem.
Per diem on the set. Hey,
man,
Ahmed,
get some falafel.
Craft services sucks today. Here's Sky News with a guy who has gotten in trouble for tweeting.
So you've been identified by the government in this research as being a Russian bot, are you?
That is a 100% total lie and complete.
I just love that the government is calling anyone a Russian bot. I mean, what dimension are we living in? He's a Russian bot.
Fabrication by the UK government.
Why do you think they've identified you and singled you in particular out then, Ian?
They are singling out or attack anyone who calls out the UK government lies on what has been happening recently. They have attacked me specifically because my Twitter account has recently got quite a lot of traction and a lot of impressions, views on it, so that lots of people can see. I mean, the government's lies are very transparent and very easy to see. And anybody who applies a smattering of critical thinking will immediately call out numerous lies, and the government position just completely collapses.
It is. It's very apparent in the UK. They're really shutting down any dissent. Oh, yeah, it is. Now, the craziest clip in my last one in the Syria series is the Syrian ambassador to the United Nations. Now, he said something very odd.
We say to Saudi Arabia today that we...
This, of course, is not him. It's the translator who's speaking while he's speaking in the UN.
We say to Saudi Arabia today that we eliminated its terrorist tentacles in eastern Ghouta, and I mean Jaish al-Islam gangs. Yes, we say to Qatar and Turkey that we eliminated their terrorist tentacles in eastern Ghouta, and I mean Al-Nusra Front gangs and Faylaq al-Rahman gangs. And I say to all those who exported to us armed, moderate, genetically modified opposition that we eliminated these toxic exports. And we call upon those exporters to bear the consequences of their actions, as some elements who survived would return to their original countries.
So they have genetically modified super soldiers?
Who is they?
We do.
We don't have any genetically modified super soldiers.
That's what he just said. You missed it.
Well, yeah, I couldn't hear him.
Okay, well, listen to her. Where are we? Oh, shoot. Got to rewind it. Hold on.
We say to sedition that we eliminated these toxic exports, and we call upon those all those who exported to us armed, moderate, genetically modified opposition.
Genetically modified opposition.
Maybe they're just a bunch of trans.
Could be. But I don't know. I think, why would he say that? Maybe it's a translation mistake.
Watching too many movies. It could be a translation issue. It might mean something different.
Well, I would like anyone who speaks Syrian to... what do they speak in Syria? Syrian?
I don't know.
Some Arabic dialect, no doubt. Or French. But he doesn't speak French. I don't think he was speaking French in the background. I just found that to be very odd. Genetically modified.
I think you got. I'll give you a borderline clip of the day for coming up with that thing.
Well, I'll take that anytime. All right, what you got to play us out?
Well, I got a few things here that any of them would work. There's another school situation, which I thought was kind of interesting. Well, let's play this while I look for a better one.
Put your hands up. Listen closely, and you can hear the panic today as police cleared classrooms. Everything is fine. Anybody hurt? Students at Forest High School in Central Florida were just about to join their peers across the country walking out of school to protest gun violence when the issue hit home. Just after 8:30 a.m., police say that 19-year-old Sky Boucher, who didn't attend classes here, managed to get into the main building with a gun and open fire on a 17-year-old student.
Anything you want to say to him and his family?
Sorry. School resource officer Deputy Jim Long was there in 3 minutes and took the accused gunman into custody.
That man, in my eyes, is a hero.
Okay. I didn't hear about
But the way he says it, it makes it sound like the shooter.
Like that he was a hero? Yeah, I can see where you get that. It wouldn't do very well in the Amazon Translate API, that's for sure.
No, he said the gun shooter is a hero.
Right.
Okay, I have my last clip, which is the part of the sexual harassment series. And all I could think about the whole time they played this is about maids. They did a whole special on, I think it was ABC, on maids and housekeepers in the hotels constantly being harassed by half-naked guys.
Did they mention Al Gore at all?
That's all I could think about. And they never mention Al Gore, who was busted for this, ever. In fact, nobody even talks about Al Gore being one of these creeps on any of these shows. But let's listen to it, and as you listen to it, you'll think Al Gore.
Housekeeping. There was a silent, invisible force of workers tonight. Messages from room cleaners, housekeepers, asking us to tell their story.
Every time that I'm going to their room, I say, oh my God, what's going to happen today?
1.5 million of them, 88% female. And they tell us for everyone who speaks, so many more are just too afraid of getting fired. He was completely naked and told me, welcome.
He took off his robe.
We met Estella, who says we have no idea what housekeepers face, telling us about one male guest who asked her for extra towels.
I ring the bell many times, nobody. I was thinking, oh, he's not here.
get the towels, fold it nicely, put it in the bottle. He was waiting there. He was not. I said, what? My legs shaking. She says she got a sense some people thought she was overreacting. The problem is that the guests think that we are included in the price, the hotel price, and the amenities. Hi. This is Yetmira, who shows us the daily athletic challenge.
We have to do 14 rooms a day, 14 bathrooms. It's very, very hard work.
She always follows her training to knock 3 times, speak loudly, never surprise a guest, but admits to being wary of what might be on the other side.
You have a guest half naked and it's just waiting behind the door and you don't know.
And it was not an accident.
No, it's not an accident.
Yet Mira now has a new tool for her protection, a panic button. And
that's too bad. I thought perfect opportunity for your your hula skirt on fire thing, electric hula skirt.
Yeah, do it.
Man, men are
good jolt.
Men are douchebags.
Well, on today's show, they are.
Oh, my goodness. That's horrible.
It is.
Doesn't surprise me.
We're maids.
Look, but they should have called Al Gore out. That's just bull crap. But anyway.
Land of the happy ending.
All right. Yes. Good one. A happy ending indeed for this show. No idea what it's. Pretty big fire over there at the old place, so I've always ignored.
They're not using the right microservices architecture. They got the wrong address.
Coming to you from downtown Austin, Tejas, capital of the Drone Star State, FEMA region number 6 in the governmental maps. Luckily, no longer in the penitentiary. No, I'm in the Cludio in the common law condo in the morning. Everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where everybody is celebrating Earth Day. It is Earth Day. I'm John C. Dvorak.
Until Thursday, remember us at Dvorak.org/NA for our value for value model. We need all the help we can get when we deconstruct once again. Until then, adios, mofos. I need a cab.
Oh, there's one. Taxi!
This is cool, Elon.
The No Agenda Show.
You got really loud all of a sudden.
Okay, cool. Beginning. Woo! What did I say?
Whoa. What just happened? What did you do?
Did I go dead?
Collusion. Grep cat.
Open your mind. He's grepping.
He's grepping a lot.
Is it going to be amazing?
It will be blah, blah, blah.
Any collusion?
I didn't do anything.
Oh, yeah.
Any collusion?
Doesn't sound like you did anything. Don't touch it. Just jiggle the cable.
Any collusion?
Collusion. Grep cat.
Any collusion?
Beginning.
If you think I'm supposed to run, you got to tell me.
The year of the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
What a life. Beginning.
Let me tell you something. You say the wrong thing, you don't get advertisers. You don't get advertisers, you're not on the air very long.
Yeah. What?
Little ditty about Trump and Comey, the president and the FBI director formerly. Trump tweets all kinds of mean stuff about Comey. Comey wrote a tell-all book and secretly supported Hillary. Oh yeah, they say life goes on. Long after the thrill of being president, the first year is gone. Oh yeah, they say life goes on. Long after the media tour to sell that book is done, they fall on.
There's a Starbucks hating on black guys. They tried to have a meeting, but had no intent to buy. There's a Starbucks, one of these black guys. He tried to use the bathroom, but they said he was denied. Oh well, they were asked to exit, but they both protested, so they got arrested.
It was on the wall, but it was wrong. Set 'em straight, then I'd be gone. I gave the facts in my reference. Then half the world, they all took offense. Well, I'm just trying to build a bridge. Instead they checked my privilege. What's this guy who's middle-aged sends them in to fits of rage? I said go listen to No Agenda. They told me stick my Nancy dick into a blender. Blocked by a social justice warrior. I've no idea what I said to them. Blocked by a social justice warrior. Last things they said, I'm literally Hitler. Blocked by a social justice warrior. I have no idea what I said to her. Blocked by a social justice warrior. 'Cause being white is a racial slur. Blocked by a social justice warrior. And some of them, they're into fur. Blocked by a social justice warrior. Last things they said, I'm literally Hitler.
Mofo.
Dvorak.org/NA.
There was a lot of butt squeezing.